What is up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and I'm back with a new episode of Off Our Brains. And I want to say Happy New Year. I probably am being redundant, or I will sound redundant because I will also say that in the podcast itself. But I figured before we get into the podcast, I just wanted to say a few things real quick, and then bring you guys up to speed, and then move forward. So first thing, this video is actually kind of a step back to what I had done a lot of in the past because I used to do a lot of video game stuff or more video game stuff. And I've been kind of disheartened with the video game industry over the last year and some change. And it seems like finally I'm to a point where I don't really care what happens, like so much of it, even though I love fighting games, I love third person action, and I like certain first person shooters. I just don't care anymore. So, you know, we this particular video, it's a topic that we were going to do a video on, and we did it. We actually recorded. I didn't edit anything, but we recorded in the fall. And then I was like, you know what, we should do a podcast about it. And then shortly afterwards, we decided to do this, and we started trying to get everyone's schedules together and whatnot. And then I was like, it'd be redundant for me to release that video and then turn around and do this. So we've covered just about everything that we mentioned in the previous video in this one, and and to some like insane degree, we covered and recovered, and we just go over a lot of what we don't like with fighting games these days. Mainly what we're seeing with we keep going back and forth over Street Fighter and Tekken because they're the top two, and I think there's even a little Mortal Kombat thrown in there. But the catalyst for this was Tekken 7, because they're doing some good things as far as diversity with characters go, you know, but at the same time, even that diversity, the way that they're introducing characters and the what's the word I want to look for? The characterization of this diversity is kind of problematic. But so stay tuned for that. That's what we're gonna do for this off our brains. Um, Also, these are some things that are in the pipeline, and I've said this before, but they're being made right now as we speak, or as I speak and you guys listen. Um, I've got some kung fu or martial arts film attacks in the works. They are in the barrel, getting ready to be shot out at you guys, or in the chamber. I'm sorry. Um, More superhero film attacks. Obviously, we've got one that we're gonna do. It's almost like a team effort. We're gonna do with Batman '89. We're gonna watch it and probably record the audio so that you guys can hear our thoughts as we watch it and reminisce and all that good stuff. So if you like Batman '89, that might be a good treat for you. A new segment I have called Thoughts from My Car, where I will give you guys just my random thoughts from days of driving around during work. Sometimes really far distances, sometimes short distances. But I've had random thoughts about different things, and I want to share those with you guys because, uh, yeah, I think it'd be fun to hear, and it will get the conversation started, and it will also fill in the blanks between all the action figure reviews and the video game reviews, because I've kind of focused more on action figures because, like I said, my new philosophy is to do things that make me happy as opposed to focus on things that piss me off. Now, every once in a while, because I know that's why you guys are here, you want to hear real talk about things that are actual issues. So, of course, I'm still going to do those. I'm just going to do a little bit more of the stuff that I can rant and rave and be happy about, and give you guys kind of a really in-depth look at. And then I'm going to do a little bit less of the shit where I'm sitting there complaining and pissed off and pissed off and pissed off, because honestly, after a while of doing that, it doesn't leave you feeling very good. Like, for me, I don't feel good when I'm done. I feel good that I got the information out there, but I feel bad that I can't really find enjoyment with these things that I once did find enjoyment with. So I want to balance that out. So that is it. Oh, before I forget, I need to give a huge shout out to my homeboy, the Briscoe 1234 over in Canada. Um, I did a custom cape for him, and I think in one of the podcasts I mentioned we were talking about the rates when you're shipping things, and I know I mentioned how much cheaper it was to send something to Dubai than it was to send it to Canada, and then I was paying like 30. I paid shipping. I paid. I made the cape, then I paid shipping, and then I ended up having to pay like another import fee for it, which was like $30 or so. Now I mentioned that it was just talk. I wasn't mentioning it because I wanted you to feel bad or anything. So I don't know. I guess he heard it, and just recently I got a package in the mail from him, and it was the SH Figuarts Kaiser from Kamen Rider 555, which, if you guys know, that's my favorite show, my favorite Kamen Rider, period. And I had been meaning to get to the other characters, I've been focusing so hard on Fies that I just haven't really been looking at the other characters yet. And he already got me that guy, so now I can kind of set my sights on, Delta and, geez, my brain. Delta and, if they make a Saiga, I can find Saiga. And, anyway, the rest of the gears, the Fies gears, or the gear king gears, or whatever they call them. But thank you, man, for real. Thank you. That was a seriously cool gesture. I don't want you to think that I was throwing that out there as a complaint. It was just an observation, that it was more expensive to send something well overseas than it was to send stuff just up north, which is kind of weird. But I really appreciate that. That's a super nice gift. I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought for some reason, because me and ODC, that's me, were talking, and he said we sent Christmas stuff, and I thought, well, I sent him a custom and a bonus with it, so his custom had somebody to fight, because I had extra Joe's stuff sitting around, and he sent me some stuff. So I was thinking, when I saw a package in the mail, I'm thinking it's coming from him, and then I see Canada. I'm like, oh crap, wow, cool. So anyway, long story short, thank you much, man. I really appreciate it. It brought a smile to my face. Even my wife was surprised. She's like, damn. I'm like, yeah. So thank you. It helps make this whole thing a little bit more awesome when it feels like your subscribers and the people you're speaking to are jumping in and being involved, in positive ways. And that doesn't mean sending you stuff. It just means being involved, period. Conversation, whatever. And when you get stuff from them, it's awesome too. It makes things a lot better. So yeah, let me know if you need any capes. I can, for my people in Canada, I might switch up on how we do things, where I cut the cape and send it to you, and I'll do a tutorial on how to apply the cape, so that way I can just send it to you in an envelope, and you don't have to worry about all the extra fees and stuff, So we'll see what happens about that. So anyway, I've blabbed on enough. Now for the real blabbering. Okay, so this is take 2. I know, take 3, right? So we're back. This is another episode of Off Our Brains. I'm leaving out all the other stuff because we did this 3 times already. So I am Strident, and I'm here with my homeboys, Agent O.
What's up?
Clarion Prime.
What's really good?
And our special guest, Slice. It's one of my homeboys from the CCAD days.
I'm not gonna do what you guys just did. I'm here.
Oh man! So everybody,
I'm not gonna do that. What's up, guys? What's up? I'm here.
everybody had a good holiday. We all had these cool, a couple cool things happen. I'm sorry we're not repeating them because we've been having technical difficulties, but we're going to jump directly into it. Okay, we're talking about fighting games, and the catalyst for this is the weird shit that we're seeing with Tekken 7. We're going to talk a little bit about fighting games in general and things we wish we would see with them that we're not seeing, like in the evolution, from when we started playing in the early 90s to now. And I don't know, things that they should be paying attention to and things they should be adding. So the main thing is Tekken 7. We've all played Tekken I think all three of us, right? Because Clarion, you weren't a big Tekken person, were you?
I played.
Yeah.
What was it? 1, 2, 3. Skipped 4 mostly.
Yeah, most of us did.
I think I skipped 5 too, but I picked back up at 6.
Okay.
And, yeah, but I guess my knowledge is I don't know what about a B-.
Everybody hates 4, but I give them props for at least trying to do something a little different.
No,
nobody wanted to be on the cover of that game.
4,
like
4 was
Jin is there, but he is in a hood, and you can barely see his face.
I know, right?
The Mishimas are like, yeah, it's Tekken.
Hey, but they did get they got some new characters that they introduced that was long standing, and Jin's new fight styles too. So
yeah,
it wasn't a total.
It wasn't a total loss.
I like his fight style. Yeah.
The problem with Tekken 4 was it had too little an amount of characters. I mean, we were just coming off of Tekken Tag and Tekken 3 and all that.
Yeah.
Like, how you can give us... Excuse me, how you can give us such a tiny bit of characters and then, like, position switch? That was the most, like, innovative thing you could come up with. It didn't even really do anything for the game. I mean, like...
Yeah, I mean, it was a position switch and then the fighting on
the arenas,
unleveled
unleveled ground. It's like that's stuff that should have been. I mean, Dead or Alive was already doing that shit before that, so it's not like it was really innovative. But where it was innovative was it was story. There was a lot of story-driven elements in the game, and you got to hear the characters speak for the first time, like really speak, not just Ria, Steel Bukak, yeah, like like. I had to throw that.
A beautiful replication of the old game.
I mean, it's true. That's all you ever heard was like, what? You're like, okay. Now they had voices and there was cutscenes, and it's stuff too that I don't understand why they're not still doing it. Like Tekken Tag 2 had all those weird endings, but they could have used the in-game engine. It'd probably be cheaper. Yeah. Use the in-game engine and just mocap or throw some animations. I mean, there's tons of existing animations out there for companies and everyone to use, and they could have just told the story that way. But Tekken 4 kind of started it, and it reshaped what the Tekken universe kind of was going to become. And that was cool. It's just that as a game itself, it felt like it should have been like an expansion or like a cheap game with the Tekken characters in it, not a full price game. But whatever.
I agree.
We all played we played through all those games, and we can admit that the bound system was kind of stupid. It made the game feel I don't know, it was cheap for people who want to play that way. And it gave cheap players more options, and it gave those of us that want to make the game look like a good fight. Like, we want to floss and control the fight, and really, chess game with our opponents. It made it kind of, it's something we don't really use. So when you see them fall, we're like, damn, they got hit hard, but it's there so that we can continue comboing, and we're not going to always take advantage. Like, when I'm fighting a computer, shit, I'll take advantage of it. But when I'm fighting like real people, I want to see what they can do. So I want to do fancy stuff, and I want to see them do fancy stuff, because I am a fan of martial arts movies, and I play fighting games thinking of how am I going to get this to feel like, a martial arts movie where we go back and forth and we're trying to one-up each other. And most people... Huh?
Put that in the bank, man. I want to see when I watch fighting games, I want to be able to like look at it like, oh shoot, this is six fight. Did you see that fight yet last week?
Uh-huh.
And I want to like look at it like this is a movie, like an action, a fighting kung fu flick. I want to see it and be like, look at that cool exchange.
Exactly.
Not just, oh, did this one cool thing to this guy.
Or
a cool exchange that these guys did.
Or not like you watch somebody juggle a guy for the whole fucking match.
Yeah.
And you're like, really? And there's people giving, like these days, when you watch Evo and stuff and they play Tekken or something like that, or you watch Tekken matches online that people post, it's always like they sit there and they chip at each other, chip, then they pop someone in the air, and then the other guy literally could just put his controller down and watch because that's the whole fight. That's not martial arts. That's not martial arts. That's not the way it goes. But
kicking a man when he's down is for bitches and cowards. It's the same rule in real life as it is for video games. So
exactly.
That's when the fun starts for you. That's when, now I'm going to take over. I'm like, then you're bad at fighting games.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind like hitting them on the ground is not necessarily cheap because I would like to see like for a character like Eddie. If I knock you on the ground and then you're staggering to get up. If I hit you with a boomerang kick and knock you on the ground, that's your fault for staying on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
No, that makes sense.
Kind of a cool looking, that's a cool kind of exchange just because that adding to the element. You can have ground fighting. There's ground fighting. There's air fighting.
But like real ground fighting.
Yeah,
not
real ground fighting.
If you put in like ground counters, like okay, I'm gonna try.
Oh hell yeah!
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to kick you while you're on the ground. Okay, then I'm gonna freaking wrap my leg around your knee and like snap.
Pull you down to the ground. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like if it was like if you guys all of you guys play Guys?
Yes.
I played a little bit.
Guys had all these things we're talking about, and that game was also that came out when I think Tekken 2 was out.
Yeah, that was on PS1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That game, matter of fact, Toe Ball number 1 had some of this stuff too, and that was also PS1. And you're trying to tell me like, I don't know, 20 some odd years later, they still didn't see that game? They forgot that shit existed? Like games like
didn't sell a ridiculous amount of copies.
I know
that's literally the right answer.
It is.
It wasn't advertised that.
That's true. It wasn't. But like
advertised that much in the U.S.
That's
definitely what it was.
And as we were kind of going over in the first and second draft of this conversation, like when you listen to marketing people, or you listen to like people in the industry, and they say, okay, this is what you have to do with this game to be popular, to get mainstream. I'm like, as far as fighting games go, what's your basis for that?
Yeah.
Because outside of Street Fighter, what is the mainstream fighting game out there? There isn't one.
Well, there was Tekken. Tekken was the number 2 mainstream fighting game, and then Soul Calibur came afterwards.
But apparently not mainstream enough because instead of like, some is good, more is better, instead we get, Tekken was this and now it's not. It's
not, yeah. So here's the thing.
I mean, even Street Fighter, like Street Fighter is popular because of the name, because of its name, how they established the brand back in the day. Like they're still riding. It's like Bryan Singer and
Usual Suspects.
Yeah. He's still riding off the coattails of that movie, even though he hasn't done anything that great since that movie.
Yeah.
Same thing with Street Fighter. After 3, and even 3 didn't do well enough. Like Third Strike and all that didn't do well enough to where they were like, let's do 4. Like Ono had to beg to get 4 done, to get Street Fighter 4 done.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was like total sellout. Like Street Fighter 4 totally sold out, dumbed everything down.
It was because it was starving. It was a community that was starving for Street Fighter.
Yeah.
So when it came back and it came back mediocre, all the real fighting game fans were like, oh, come on, this is what I get after all these years. But then since people were starving for it for so long, and when it came out, they were like, oh, they just accepted it. Okay, they forgot about what it came from. It came off of a really great game, which was Third Strike.
Yeah.
It came off a very good game, and then it just went to that mainstream approach. And then people just were starving for it for so long, they just accepted it, and then it just became like
exactly
status quo.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I hate that.
Me too. And that's why I always complain that people don't like what's the word I'm looking for? They're not discriminatory about the things that they like. Because like Agent O said one time, if Harley Davidson came out with a hot pink motorcycle for like a hot pink Fat Boy for like the mainstream guys who love that shit, you know, pink wheels, pink everything, those dudes be like, brother, I ain't buying that shit. And they tell all their people.
I might rock it. I mean,
no, I mean not to diss anybody who likes hot pink, but what I'm saying is like that's not the standard for their style.
It's a move that your supporters, that your fan base would definitely not
exactly
get behind. Would not get behind.
And if they did it, the fan base would say that's not Harley Davidson. I'm not putting money behind it. No. So with fighting games, nobody came out and said, you know, this is subpar, we're not supporting it. No, they just supported it. And so because that turned into the mainstream now, because, you know, when we were younger, we had
a lot of things to go off.
Yeah, tons to choose from, and each game had its own identity, so they all gave you something different. It's not like now where every game is trying to give you the same things. And that's...
You had to have specific elements, or else you'd be like, hey, you ain't doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and this is why I have a problem with, and I'm not into Tekken 7. Everything I'm seeing feels like they've dumbed it down to pander to the general public. Meanwhile, the people like us that've been playing it for 20 years, they're just like, oh, you've already played it, so, you know, whatever. Thanks for giving us the money to build this game.
No, they figure that, they figure you'll buy it anyway. It's like they figure regardless of what product they make, the fans, the hardcore fans, will always buy it.
Yeah.
So now they need to start working from that assumption is where you get why don't we just try this and see if we can get, I don't know what magical audience they think is going to be drawn in by this, because a lot of people just hear the word Tekken and they think fighting game, and it's like they've automatically like kind of tuned the rest of it out if they don't play fighting games. That's like the automatic response that fighting games get.
Yeah, especially since there's not that many different ones anymore.
For one, I think in the Tekken, not in their defense, but I think they just had a fear of not appealing to what the quote unquote, because I don't call it status quo, the status quo fighting game is. They had a fear of just like, hey, let's do what we usually do. They kind of like, hey, we're losing fan base type shit, and I don't want to call it fear. I kind of like they kind of punked out.
Yeah, they definitely punked out because so like for instance, right? We're talking about like different things that they should give the game. They gave us super moves in Tekken when Tekken's equivalent to super moves was always 10 strings and unblockables. We know we didn't like the bound system, and like we said, there should have been something to allow for a more realistic type of ground system. Like they need to look at martial arts movies and see how it's handled in choreography and then incorporate that into the game. Matter of fact, why is there no fighting game that looks like Undisputed 3? Or like no fighting game that looks like, you know, Sha Po Lang or Killzone, whichever version people saw. You know what I mean? Like, where's the choreography? Where's the flashiness that comes from martial arts in that
motion?
Where's
the two back and forth?
Yeah, there's no chess game. There's no chess game in fighting games anymore except for what move can I use that has priority to pop you up? What move is safe, you know, that I can keep doing? Because that's the way people play now. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
When we were young,
it's all zoning and safe moves.
Yeah, like, and everybody does the same thing because they have YouTube. They can all watch how the last champ won. I mean, it's the way people do things in the UFC. You know, in the beginning, everybody had all their own styles. Then BJJ started winning everything. So then everybody was like, hey, we're going to all train in BJJ. So you get nothing but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's it. Then, you know, a wrestler wins. Now we all got to get good at wrestling. Like, come to the arena with your own fucking identity and skills. Be aware of the other skills, but you come to the arena with your skills, all of yours. You have to learn how your shit works against everything else. Like when we were younger, we didn't change characters depending on the guy that you picked. we picked the guy we liked and we learned how to fight everybody else. Because
Exactly.
if we were really
Balance.
training,
The key word there is balance.
exactly, there was balance in the games, and we could actually do that. Now, you see the tier lists, there'll be like 15 characters that are just worthless, and like, you know, maybe 10 or 12 characters that everybody plays with or that people would like to choose from, and then the top 5 of those characters are all you ever see in the tournaments. And it's like, seriously, that's your fighting game? That's quality? That's what we're going to actually pay for? The online sucks. Till now, we can't get online where, you know, there's no lag and no bullshit. It's just, it seems
Which
like...
is absolutely ridiculous when it
Yeah.
comes to how come I can play a first person shooter where they have 16
No, 64.
people.
64.
No, my fault. I don't play much first person shooters.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, think about, like, Battlefield has, I think, what is it, 64 players?
Yes,
And they're in planes, and they're in tanks, and they're in jeeps, and they're in helicopters, and yeah.
And don't forget about Mag.
Yeah. Mag was another 60.
And there's barely any lag that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
Because everything is between, but their servers are just on point.
Yep.
When it comes to server shouldn't be an issue. That should be the first thing, because everyone is gravitating towards multiplayer online experience. Play someone over at this place. That should be something that is definitely put in consideration before you put a game out. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I would upload my friend back home and not have to worry about my kick taking 1 second delay before I hit him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Timing is definitely key. I understand in first person is definitely key, but as far as a fighting game, it is even more.
Yeah.
Whoever gets that move out first, or whoever can counter this right before it they have to get better with it.
Exactly.
Timing has to be on point, man.
And you hear...
All you can do is count pixels and
Count frames.
Count frames.
count frames. You know when to cancel your move. And
That shit's annoying. That's not fighting. That's not how it works. That's lame.
Dude,
They're supposed
you can totally do this in reality. You have no idea.
His punch takes 5 frames before it hits my face. Like, get the fuck out of here. You will get knocked the fuck out if you pull that shit off in real life.
Yeah, you can't do that, man.
Like, I wish. Imagine that. Imagine if you remember, Agent O, when we were in school. Imagine if, you know, our instructor was like, you know, it takes, you know, 10 frames for my kick to hit your side, and when it hits you in the side, it'll take you, you know, 2 frames to recover, or 15 frames to recover some shit. Man, he was tearing us up. It's bullshit.
Honestly, if you guys make a jokes, but that is actually amazing thought process to think of. Like, how come they have to get hit that way every time? Why not? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gravitating towards Street Fighter, because every hit hits you a certain way.
Well, now they changed that. They changed that in the new one.
I would love to see that.
They made it where there's a different... See, this is the thing. That kind of shit, you do that after you perfect everything else. Like, when the moves and the combo system works, and you have feints, and you have, and this goes for Tekken too, because this is what we started with, and I don't want to jump too far from it. But, like, start getting fancy with, you know, hit detection once you make the hitbox accurate enough. Start getting accurate with that once you give us counters for, you know, people who want to cheap us while we're on the ground. You know, get rid of the juggles. Like, when you watch martial arts films, a juggle is usually 1 or 2 hits in a regular martial arts film. If it's like, if it's a wuxia film, they're going to do 10 backflips and kick you 50 times in the air. Yeah, I get that.
But the juggles were beasts as hell. They weren't jab, jab, jab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were beasts as hell. If you get hit in the air, don't get hit in the air. Don't. Because I'm going to just floss on you. I'm going to just look pretty and be like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, it ended with a move called the killing kick, and that's the end of the fight.
I know, right? With the Hell's Kick, like, it's done.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if the juggle, I want to see like a 16-hit juggle hit. I mean, come on, that's unrealistic. It looks cheap. You know, it doesn't look like the action films, the kung fu films that I watch. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I want to see that.
And like this
It's
doesn't.
so cool when they can pull the whole thing off and there's no way for you to get out of it.
Yeah.
It's like that in itself is safe. Like like when you could do that in Bloody Roar 3, which is one of my favorite fighting games ever.
Yeah.
You had ways to get out of all of that shit.
Yeah.
You know, they gave you dodges, they gave you moves that would cancel out. Like you could go into your beast mode during the juggle and cancel out of the juggle combo and take the fight back to them. Like you could go back and forth way better than you could in any of the games that are out now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody's just gone backwards.
Yeah, it's like they're not doing their research. They're just doing what they've always done. And they're thinking that if they pander enough, that will do it. Like marketing sells the game, not innovation. And, you know, fans of games always say, we want innovation. We want more innovative games. And then whenever they innovate, then they diss the game. Like Street Fighter 3 came out, and everybody ignored it because Tekken and Virtua Fighter were out, and they were 3D. So Street Fighter 3 was innovation. So for all of us hardcore Street Fighter fans, and I say hardcore because we loved Street Fighter first and foremost, we played it and played it and played it, and we got all the innovation. We understood the parry was dope because it would save your ass when you needed it, but it wasn't super easy to do, so you really had to train. You had to get your friends together at the arcade, put in money so they could just throw fireballs at you and you could practice your parry. Like I remember doing that with homeboys at the arcade all the time. I'm like, all right, attack me. I'm going to try to parry it. And we'd be sitting there struggling, wasting all kinds of money, just trying to master the fucking parry on an arcade stick before we could play it at home. And
that's why the Daigo parry is so significant even to this day.
Yeah.
Because that was true skill. You'll never see a fight like that ever again in Street Fighter 4 because they've dumbed it all down.
Exactly.
Like they gave you the poor man's parry, which was the focus attack.
Oh yeah,
you'll never see it.
Game. Oh my god.
Yeah. You'll never see any match as dope as that again.
It's true.
I hate that jump. Oh my god.
Yeah. But okay, so back to Tekken 7. We have what do they call them? Rage arts. Stupid. Stupid. Because like I said, they should have been innovating the 10 hit or the unblockable. 10 hits, the reason why no one does 10 hits is because it's been the same 10 hits for the last over 10 years, 5 years, whatever.
Since Tekken 3.
So we know
there hasn't been any innovation on that part.
And earlier in one of our previous tries of this conversation, you guys mentioned feints so that you could tie or delay your 10 strings to make them look a little bit more realistic and to throw off your opposition. So like when you watch a real fight, sometimes if people start figuring out what you're going to do, then you stagger your attacks. You change your timing so that you can actually hit them better. Either you speed up or you...
it looks so pretty. It looks so pretty.
It's a beautiful thing when you see it. Like if you watch Undisputed, if you watch anything Scott Adkins is in, just about.
Undisputed, not the first one.
Not the first one. Undisputed 2 or 3. If you watch anything that is done by choreographed by Larnell Stovall, I think his name is, you'll see what I'm talking about. These quick feints and like fakes when you go to punch or kick so that you throw off the opposition. They think they know what you're about to do. You stop it mid-move and then you switch it up with something else. It's something that by now should be in all the Tekken games because they've been the most I don't want to say realistic, but they've been the closest to like translating that exaggerated style of fighting to a realistic looking kind of game. And it's
very deep.
Yeah.
Very deep.
Yeah. And
they go really deep into the fighting style, which is respected.
And it's weird because like a lot of the characters and a lot of the styles, their moves actually come from movies, which means these guys do watch martial arts films, but Tekken itself does not look like a martial arts movie yet. And it should. It should. By now, we should have the quick exchanges with just hands, like Wing Chun versus boxing, and it should look good. It shouldn't be like you attack, and then I block, and then I attack, and then you block, and then, I do something stupid, and then you pop me up into the air. No, it should be a little bit more intricate than that.
20-hit juggle combo.
Yeah, for like a 50-hit juggle, where I put down my controller and watch you decimate me in the air as if my body weighs nothing. Like, we shouldn't be doing that.
When you get hit in the air, your blood turns to helium. We all know this.
It's just frustrating, man, because it's like you think they would go somewhere. So they're not innovating at all. If anything, now in Tekken 7, they have dumbed it down to the umpteenth degree. I see a lot of like poor man's focus counters, which is just dumb, or focus attacks, where like you do a hard move and it eats one hit and then bam, it hits through whatever else is going on.
Because it worked in Street Fighter, and look at how much money they made.
Oh, Jesus!
Yeah, that's pretty much.
And I'm pretty sure they made a pretty penny off of their free-to-play Tekken game too.
Yeah, but it still was a bad game. Like, it didn't get.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. It sucked, but
no one should have touched that. That was like bringing out Final Fantasy all the bravest thing. Like, people should have stayed away from that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But
yeah, it's just weird things that they threw in there. The rage mode is lame. The power crushers are lame. They took things from. I'm reading stuff on for the proper name. Excuse me. I'm reading things on their one of the Tekken wikis, and they were explaining about the combos. There's no bound in this one during a combo. But and you can't hit people while they roll because they're invincible while they're doing it. But you can hit people while you're getting up when you roll, which is just like, really. The bound move, they left the bound in the game, but it only hits with certain attacks, you know. And then the old bounds were kind of removed, you know. So things that you could do before that would give you the bound, so you could, you know, bounce them back into the air. They've moved it and changed it, and you know. Whatever, but it's still in the game. They need to take that out altogether, or just make it an effect for you getting hit with a powerful move out of the air when you get hit downward. That makes perfect sense, you know, but that's not what they're doing, and it's kind of stupid. And then they have like, you know, attacks that would, you know, make you stagger and fall to the ground like you used to have in Tekken 2, and you know, actually some of Bruce's moves still do that stuff to you. Bruce and Kazuya have like those hard punches when they hit you and you just hold and keel over. But like, what happened to like the chicken counters where you counter a counter? What happened to like, you know, they need to be like innovating that and making it more like what you would see in an actual, you know, matchup between whatever two styles. And then
escapes too, because only really escape out of like a few of King's moves.
Yeah. It's just. It's not enough innovation, and the fact that they're pandering to the masses is what pisses me off. And I'm just like, I'm good. The big thing that's frustrating me about this game, I hate the characters. I hate the new characters that they've shown. Almost every single one of them is generic as fuck. It's more of what we've had. Granted, they say that Katarina is doing Sealot or something like that, or I'm not seeing, or Savat, I think it is. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing her do variations of other people's moves, you know? And she's another generic stereotype that we always see in fighting games. Like, when are they going to come up with, like, where's my Michelle Yeoh or Michelle Khan parody? You know what I'm saying? Where's my Lu Xiaojiang parody? Like, where are all these female fighters that exist? My Moon Lee parody. Where is she at? Why am I getting another generic-ass European chick with her boobs and her fucking thong hanging out? Like, seriously? We never saw that before in a fighting game?
I've never seen that before. I don't know what you're talking about.
Why not throw your experience on everyone else? Man, come on.
It's the same reason why we have Claudio. You know, they want to cater to those girls that like those Final Fantasy looking dudes that are all, you know, metrosexual and androgynous, because it's going to draw in that crowd. Same reason why you got Catalina with half her tits hanging out. You know, there's guys out there that will create a character and play as a girl just so they can watch the girl running around doing what they do. But
they're alive.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, there's a whole series. There's a whole game series based on that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's why they do it. You know, it's unfortunately that's become the status quo, and it really should have never been. But it's all about the money.
Yeah, but for one, let's just be real. I get the sex appeal or whatever sells, but I mean, you could have a sexy female character, but you got to understand that she's going to a fight.
Exactly.
Why would she dress? She's going to a fight. So why would she dress?
Yeah, not the club.
Like that? You know what I'm saying? She's not going to the club. Well, you know what I'm saying? It just makes sense in I guess in that kind of scenario. I don't know how the storyline or whatever they pan out.
Well, they're probably thinking
she went to a store or went to a club and then she got into a fight, some crap like that. They could do shit like that. It would be cool, I guess.
Yeah.
If it's based off the story, but like her main attire would have to be, you know, something that I'm about to go in combat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, like,
I mean, it's like Sea Viper. Like, her suit's supposed to allow her to do all that crazy shit, like spew fire, enhance her strength, and all that. But it doesn't look like that. It looks like a sexy business suit.
It looks like a super.
Like she's going to a strip. Like she's a stripper, and she's showing up as the boss, and she's gonna strip for you. Like, it doesn't look like a suit that has these superheroic functions to it.
yeah, I agree. And they know they know that that's the way it is. I know, right? Technology. It's just this is the gripe, right? Overall, right? I understand that the characters need to have like a look that conveys their personality, and I get that. Cool. But what I'm saying is, like, overall, you mean to tell me that making a European chick who's dressed like Vanessa from Virtua Fighter 4 or 5 or whatever one she showed up in, you know, with the bikini under her, like, at least Vanessa was wearing her BDUs. She was all militaried up, but she just had the shirt open because you sweat. Yeah. It makes sense. I think she even had a version where she had the shirt tied around her waist. Yeah. And that made sense because she's raw. She can fight. You know she's going to break a sweat. That makes sense. So she's being sexy, but at the same time, she's functional. This shit just looks like another chick with her boobs hanging out. And I'm not against all that shit. I like boobs. Don't get me wrong. Boobs are quite awesome, you know.
Yes, yes.
But I'm just saying,
well, not a generic stereotypical.
Yeah, not stereotypical packages, you know. Like, that's just ugh, really? And then Claudio, seriously?
I was saying, a prime example is Nilin from Remember Me.
Oh,
she's fully clothed, but she still looks sexy.
Yeah.
She looks like she can scrap, and that her clothes are actually not going to rip off or fly off when she's doing a kick or something.
Yep.
Yeah, she definitely,
For real. And that game didn't do well. And once again, that's a team right there paying attention to, like, all these details, but, you know, somehow it didn't work the way that fans wanted it to.
They didn't have that why room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why room we were talking about.
Yep.
Why are we doing this? or for the uncensored, like the what the fuck room. Like,
yeah.
We need to make sure we get all these little kinks, because, I mean, we can go on a whole tangent about that.
Yeah.
But I think we need to get back to, you know, what we're doing.
But, okay, and then, like, Claudio. Really? So you let Clamp... It looks like Clamp designed another character for them. He looks just like something Clamp would come up with. Didn't we just have Jin in a costume almost identical? I mean, it was a little fancier, but still, it was a big coat with a cape and boots and all white and stuff. And it's like, seriously, we can't do better than this? Why is it we keep getting these anime stereotypes and we're not getting, you know, parodies of fighters or martial artists? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, come on. Every game.
I've seen some Jet Li type character, a Black Mass.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see some of these guys I grew up seeing in some of these games.
Yeah, besides just Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. Like, yes, we get that, you know? Why don't someone stop faking the funk and just put a Chuck Norris in there anyway, just so we can beat him up, even if you don't make him that awesome. Just put a freaking, you know, half white, half whatever he is, Carlos Norris, like, half white, whatever he is. Freaking, that's his real name. They need to put a character like him in a game and have him represent Taekwondo. Fine, call it a day. Have where's our Dick Way parody? We need a Dick Way parody, and give him a funny name that's like Dick Way. Give him something that sounds like that, you know, like Long Wang. It'd be awesome. And make him a badass character, because Dick Way, for all the people who don't know, 95% of Jackie's best fights were against Dick Way. Jackie and Sammo, a lot of times they fought Dick Way, and those fights always looked good because that guy, he sold the whole bad guy thing. He was a beast. It was, and he was a kickboxer too. That was like the majority of his or I would say the basis of his style was kickboxing. But
Yeah, he was on fire in the days when they used to do that street style martial arts choreography. It was a mixture of Wing Chun,
and boxing, Muay Thai, yeah,
and kickbox. Yeah, it was. He was like awesome back then.
yeah. I mean, unfortunately, he's really old now. I'm still sure he could probably still handle these young fucks that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, he can kick some ass though. I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah, I got a video. I got a Hong Kong Legends version of Project A, and there's an interview with him. And in the interview, they cut to him still training, and he's still throwing kicks with great extension, and still got power to it.
Like that wheel kick, that spinning wheel kick he always threw,
Yeah.
that looked like it was going to take somebody's head clean off. Like, they need to really watch martial arts films. Can we get a real Sammo Hung parody? Not a white guy with Sammo Hung's moves and his build. Can we get a Chinese guy with the white hair, the white, streak in his hair that actually can do all the shit that Jackie could do? Can we get a freaking, like I said, Lu Shajiang? She's freaking dope. If you ever see the movie Bad Blood, she was in that. She was in a movie called Coeb back in the day. She was in Once Upon a Time in Shanghai. They didn't use her as much in that, but she's cold. She's like just probably better than what Jet was, at the height of his popularity, because she's just fast and extremely direct and effective. And we're not seeing anything from her. We're not seeing Cynthia Khan. She was the replacement for what's her name? For Michelle Yeoh, when Michelle Yeoh left to go to, do other things. Where's Yukari Oshima or Moon Lee? Hell yeah, Moon Lee needs to be in one of these games.
Instantly buy that game if they have a Moon Lee parody.
Yeah, it's like Harada's too old to be traveling to other countries to look at the people, to put a stereotype in his fucking game and not make a fucking parody of existing legends when it comes to kicking and punching people. Like, what the fuck? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And all these folks that think they know martial arts, they don't know about these characters, so you'd be bringing awareness back to the martial arts industry so people could actually go back and watch and be like, oh, this guy, Lateef Crowder's a real guy. He's not only the guy who was the mocap for Eddie Gordo, but he's a real fighter who I've seen in movies. Like, make a parody of him. Make a parody of Scott Adkins. Are you kidding me? Like, where is he at? They love
a parody of the dude from The Raid, the little bulldog.
The bulldog dude. Yeah, yeah.
He should be an end boss.
Yeah,
he should be the new end boss of Tekken.
Exactly. Instead, we're going to get some anime-inspired bullshit so that all these anime-inspired moves and,
Let's talk about the bosses of Tekken. They kind of like
they fell off. Sensei Hachi, it's like they fell off. They completely fell off.
They've just gotten bigger. They've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and
cheaper.
And then cheaper because freaking Jun is cheap as hell, and Jun as unknown in Tekken Tag 2. She can just keep comboing you forever. You get popped up in the air, you may as well put your controller down because it's done.
And I remember when the game first came out, it was unreal. It was so unreal that when they patched the game to add the new characters, they toned it down.
Yeah.
Because people were complaining about how unbelievably hard that character was.
Yeah. And I know most people like to play against their friends and shit, but we're all friends and we're in the same room most of the time. We'll play the game and take turns because we want to see how each other plays against the computer, because we enjoy seeing the moves, not just dominating on different people. We like seeing all the animations, seeing how different people use their character styles, and plus sometimes you don't see every character because there's so many characters in the game. So if you play as a character that's considered lower tier, the only time you're going to get to see them most of the time is if one of your friends is playing as them, or if you pick them yourself. So we enjoy watching other people play, because every now and then you'll see someone do something you never thought of, because that's their character, that's the way.
That's the one thing that I kind of like about the Tekken games, like Virtua Fighter. Everyone that has these fight styles, they fight differently. If you look at somebody else's techniques, but when it comes to like, I guess like this, I don't want to keep bringing Street Fighter into it, but I mean, they have like, you have to use this character this way in order to win. Type
Yeah.
thing. And it's like, we should evolve from that now.
Yeah.
All these martial arts styles have so much pluses and minuses to them that you can change around and just make it your own, you know.
Yeah.
And they really don't dig into it like how Tekken does. But now they seem like they're not trying to get into that formula. It's like, okay, I have Law. Now that I can do this crazy power move thing, I just see that people are going to be, let me just build up to get this move to do this end move. You're not going to go into that character fighting style anymore. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, like they only utilize the cheapest, easiest thing from that guy. They don't use all of it.
Yeah. They don't aspire to learn a character. They just, like you said, they'll go and they'll mimic what they see online, because if it works, then why would you try to do anything else?
Well, the game, the creators are making it easy to do that too, because they're not trying to innovate the fighting mechanics.
Yeah.
As I was saying before, we were talking earlier, about how like fighting games play with the camera.
Yeah.
If I want to watch a fight, if I'm watching a martial arts fight, if I do something in a specific location, I guess if you're playing with the background, because we're doing a lot of background elements, which I think we should do more, because background does tie into a great film, great kung fu experience. It's like, great fight scene. The camera angles should change depending on if you catch something in a certain way, but not stupid camera cuts like the ones they do for the slow motion.
Where no matter what you do, it's the same. No matter what you do, it's the same slow motion angle from the same view. Yeah, that's garbage.
Play it back 3 times,
and it's not even a cool move.
Play it back 3 times, like they did back in the day, where you see the move twice, and then the third time you see it again, it's close up, and you see it in slow motion, and you see the power and everybody's reaction and shit. Like do that shit.
Or play it back
when it counts.
Play it back when it's like a last minute, like how in Tekken when he says great, and it's like you had no energy, but you pulled off a victory that way. That's when you should get the triple thing. Kind of like in SNK versus Capcom. If you counter a move at the last minute, like if you beat someone with a super at the very last minute, your move connects, you get that flame effect in the background when you hit them. You don't get an explosion, you get flames, because it was like, this last minute sick ass counter.
That move was hot.
Yeah, exactly. Like you should get that. Something like that is how they should do the triple take, because Jackie Chan always did that when he pulled off a counter that was kind of difficult to do. He would show it to you twice or 3 times, like you see him do it in regular speed, then you see it twice, and the third time would be in extra slow motion. And it's like they're emphasizing how difficult that move is to do. They're not just doing it because it's a generic, this is the end of the match. Every time, this is how it works.
Yeah. So, like, shoot, if we did like, if they're trying to play with the camera angle, okay, someone's doing a grab, it's about to slam this guy into this table, and the dude, when you counter it, and then they show that a different camera angle, like you countering the junk and hitting the guy down, or like he's doing a suplex or something. You backflip over him and do some cool move. I could see like a cool camera be like, oh shoot, get that move, look at that. And it shows a little camera scene where that would be totally acceptable. And then getting the camera to come back, like playing with the movement, how like the person's getting up and they would like readjust the camera. Yeah. I think that would be so cool to just watch that.
And it all goes back to them not watching martial arts films. Like they need
to watching it in the way they should.
No, I mean like some of
pointers.
Well, like some of the moves that they put, if you notice, with like the older characters, they're moves from old movies.
Yeah.
They're not watching new shit. They're not. They're watching old stuff, and then they're watching anime, new anime. Stop fucking watching new anime. Watch all the martial arts films you can get your hands on that have like good choreography, like from the top choreographers, so you can see how we use these martial arts attacks in a flashy kind of way on screen. That way, when it translates to the game, it would make sense, you know? Even like Raven has some capoeira moves mixed into his style because he's based off of Wesley Snipes. So it's like, look at how people react to those attacks. This goes back to what Slice said earlier. You look at how those attacks, how people react to getting hit by that stuff in the Wesley Snipes films, and put that reaction in the game. You know what I mean? Like, same thing with like Jackie Chan. You look at Jackie Chan stunt people, and when he hits them with certain attacks,
I love his stunt team.
yeah, they sell those moves and they make it look like it really hurt. Like, look at that shit. Or like even in old Bruce Lee films, when he hits some dude in the throat and they're sitting there choking, and then he pushes them up against the wall so he can start punching them in the gut like 50 times. It's like they're selling how powerful these attacks are. In Tekken, exactly. By now, we should be getting the reactions. We should be getting the camera motion. We should be getting the exaggeration. We should be getting the intricacies. It should look like a movie by now. You look at Metal Gear, and then you look at Tekken, and it's like Tekken still looks like it always did, gameplay-wise, whereas Metal Gear looks like a fucking film. Or like, you know what I mean?
I was about to say, one of the things that, I mean, I don't want to give out my secrets, but I mean, I'll do it right now. But like, as far as like, I want to make a fighting game where the taunting matters. I mean, whenever someone does like it's intimidation, well, like when I'm about to do a move for like Bruce Lee, he always has his little his emotes, like things that he does before he attacks you or after he attacks you, that they need to add more into the game.
Yeah,
I would love to see someone that hits a move and then you can choose to taunt, and that gives you more of an advantage, or something like power bar upgrade, just because you did it at the right time, and it makes it look seamless.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like make it.
It would be.
It helps make your character, like, play to your character's character. You know, don't just do it because it's in the game. Do it because this is how your character would actually fight. This is how he would act. This is on point, you know? It's weird.
Or even if you're talking about reactions, it's like, shouldn't the reaction to, like, eating a freaking, like, hard right hand in the first 2 seconds of the fight be different after, like, a minute?
Yeah.
After 90 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Like that would be another thing that, again, that's...
Oh, yes.
I guess that would be incredibly taxing on the system. But I'm like, like, you can probably shrug off that first one because it's the first one.
Oh, yeah.
But the 10th one, I'm like, no, you should be moving slow. You shouldn't be getting up as fast. You shouldn't be squaring up as fast again.
Well, like,
no,
I mean like this, right? What you said works, but for the sake of the speed of the game, I could see them giving you a, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of, I don't want to say watered down, but like a streamlined version of it. Just give us the reaction. You know how, like, when you watch Jackie Chan films, they always do something towards the end where, like, he'll keep kicking the guy or keep punching him with his forearms, and they hit real hard, and then they stop, and then they look at their forearms, and they're like, ah, and they rub their arms because it hurt, because this is the end of the fight, and now they're kind of taxed. We need those kind of things. Even in Metal Gear, I'll go back to Metal Gear. In Metal Gear 4, when you fight Ocelot at the very end of the game,
I was going to mention that.
You see them go through all that shit.
What I was thinking when I brought that up.
Yeah, they get tired and they're like, fuck. And then they kind of like look at each other, and there's personality there. You see, like, they obviously have a personal vendetta.
There you go.
We need that kind of intensity.
Because they've been through some shit. Like, you can clearly see. It's like...
So the taxes like that. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, not even, not to say don't put that whole they're getting up slow. Like, hey, you're beating them down to their life comes down to a certain point. You're not just getting them slow. Like, if you leave the control, like you don't touch it.
Yeah.
They should be responding to that. You
know?
Move, of course, they're gonna move really quickly. But like, if I'm gonna in between do a little taunt just to raise my power bar or some crap like that, and that guy isn't moving his control, you will see those animations play out. And if somebody that wants to make it a nice video of it or something like that, they can cater to these things, and that jump will just look absolutely like a fighting scene in a movie.
Exactly. And
They
that's
have that option.
exactly. And that would make sense because like you play Tekken, like Law has a lot of things because he's old. If you charge too many times, he'll like fall over. I think if you do it 4 times in a row, he'll fall over like, oh crap, on his knee. Then if he falls down and you press all 4 buttons while he's on the ground, he'll slam his fist on the ground. Just like in, what was it, Way of the Dragon when he was fighting Chuck Norris and Chuck floored him. He hits his fist on the ground and you get up. But you should be able to get into the stance continuously so that you can, people know, oh shit, he's in his focus mode. Fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be just you have these emotes that they mean something to those of us who know, but they don't mean anything in the overarching scope of the game. So, like, Tekken is failing in that respect, and so is Street Fighter, and so is Mortal Kombat. The thing I'll give Mortal Kombat props for is that each of their games, they've been,
They've been jumping. Go ahead. Yeah.
They've been trying to innovate and improve. Because, I mean, their games look insane. It's just the animation still looks like crap. I mean, they still look, I shouldn't say crap, they look stiff. And some characters look straight up just bad. Like Cassie.
Yeah, they're trying to hold on to the old animation style from the original.
And it doesn't work.
Made them famous. Yeah, they really need to get away from it.
Yeah, because
keyword for Mortal Kombat. If they're watching this, keyword for Mortal Kombat. Mocap.
Yeah, mocap. Like
everybody's doing it. It's the new crazy phase going around.
Mocap with a K.
I know, right? Fucking go back and watch Mortal Kombat Conquest and then make your fights look like that. Improve on that. Improve on that.
All games should watch Mortal Kombat Conquest.
Yeah, because it's just ridiculous that by now, like, they're one of the only franchises that their movies have been fairly successful with the exception of one. Their TV show was successful and the plots were pretty interconnected, like everything made sense, and they keep making new plots and new timelines and blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, I get you want to evolve, but you need to stick to a story and evolve the damn story. Like, stop coming up with alternate universe versions of this and that and blah blah blah. Like, just keep the shit moving because you've been successful.
Versus Pokemon.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Gotta catch them all.
I know, right? Gotta kill them all.
Gotta kill them all.
Finish them all.
But yeah, because I look at the games and like their models look so real, but then when they move, it's like, wow.
Just look, come on, really?
Like that Mortal Kombat X trailer, that first one when Sub-Zero was fighting Scorpion in the woods, the look and the camera movement and shit, I was like, this is kind of what I'm talking about. And then when they started like punching and kicking,
like,
I was like, oh man, like really?
I'd be all excited for a second.
Like, that's one thing I'll give Yu Suzuki and his team when they were doing Virtua Fighter. As the series went on, they ditched a lot of the old animations and they made the movements look more real. Like, by the time Virtua Fighter 5, I think 4 and 5 came out, because you notice that, like, they're only on what? They would be on 6, I think, right? Virtua Fighter?
Yeah.
If they make a new Virtua Fighter, it would probably be Virtua Fighter 6. And they actually have taken their time to cultivate their games. Like, when you look at the moves in the games, like, number one, they've done a good job emulating fighters that exist, Yeah. And I mean, I won't say like the new characters who feel like just rip-offs of characters from Tekken and Dead or Alive. Yeah. I won't say those characters were so great, but their fighting styles emulate fighters that exist, and I'll give them props for that. But their animation is not as good as Tekken, but they're emulating real martial arts, obviously, and movies. They look at the shit that's done in films, and they kind of make their characters do their version of those same things. That's what Tekken needs to really start embracing. Like, you have all these characters who their roots come from martial arts fucking films. Just let's get that. Stop playing around with these anime characters and just fucking embrace that shit. You got Dragunov doing Sambo, and you're not making him really utilize the moves that we've seen actually work in combat, You got people like fucking, what's his name? Fedor and fucking Boss Rutan, and you got all these guys out there who, like, you could look at them and you can see how the movies they've been in, how do they utilize submission moves and shit like that? You know what I mean? Like, how does it work in a choreographed sense? how do people get out of those moves? Donnie Yen, ever since getting his ass whooped by Wesley Snipes, he started using grapples and shit. And you see him use all the counters and all the intricate, like, you know, arm bar to leg, hold or something like that, or ankle hold or whatever. Like, you see him move from
a whole bunch of that in the Flashpoint.
Yeah, you see him move from everything. I mean, fucking punch you in the jaw, punch you in the gut, spin around, and German suplex. Like, where's all that shit? Instead, they're still giving you, like, a German suplex can only be done after 10 other slams that would fucking kill you. Like, come on, guys. I mean, literally, you get powerbombed twice. Then he's like, okay, German suplex. Like, wait. That doesn't make sense. They need to really, I don't know. They need to think more about how these things work. But, you know, I guess...
Evolve, I think, is the word you're looking
for.
for.
Yeah, evolve, yeah. And if the fans don't want it, because the fans don't call for it, because like I've always said, they don't really know what they want. They just know what they've been getting, and they know where they came into it from, and they want more of what they've gotten, what they've been getting. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really know how to innovate this shit because they don't make games. They just play them. It's up to the people making the shit to actually innovate, you know?
They need to do something quick. I just see fighting games dying out, man. I mean, there's not a lot of them left.
Yeah.
One. And if it's going to stay doing the same thing and regurgitating the old game, it's no one's going to gravitate to it as a fan base. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see that happening. And one of the things that we were talking about with the new Tekken is now that they're starting to put all this extra flash. Like, when I hit the guy, it's so hard to even see what the guy is doing.
Yeah,
like all these sparks and flying out.
Yeah, I saw a later build, and they toned all that down because that was my complaint too.
Yeah, it is hard to see.
Like, what are you doing? You kicked me, but I didn't see the kick because there was so much explosions and sparks on top of the shoulder pads and stuff like that. Just there's so much going on.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Because these fighters are so powerful that they make contact with one another.
I mean, like, the thing is, I get that Tekken, you know, that's one of the things I liked. Like, when you block, you hear steel hitting steel, you know, like, I like that stuff. I like how you kick them and sparks.
The Iron Fist tournament.
Yeah, like, it makes sense, you know? It's one of the few games...
These guys literally have fireworks.
Yeah. Now it's going to the umpteenth degree where it's just not cool anymore. It's just annoying. But
just for a regular move, it's just a jab.
Yeah.
If that was for, like, something special, like an unblockable or something like that.
Phoenix Smash.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, but not like, left jab.
But here's the thing.
Or even. Go ahead.
No, if it was the case, make all their moves seem that powerful. Like, if they're supposed to be that damn powerful that when they punch, explosions go off, then make all their jabs and kicks and basic moves look that powerful. Don't just, make the sparks just a thing. You know what I mean? Like, it just is. It's just a thing that normally happens. No, give us a reason. Let it really mean something. Like, a punch from a Tekken participant is supposed to be, like, really damn powerful versus, like, a Street Fighter. I don't know, like, there should be a difference between how these things work. What is with Paul's fucking hair? I'm sorry. What is with his fucking flat top in this game?
Well, yeah, Paul's hair is getting extremely outrageous.
It's like they're making fun of the game within the game. Like, Harada needs to stop smoking that shit.
What, does he still have that move where he charges up and his flat top gets taller?
No, it just looks like it's that tall.
It's taller now.
It's like two of what he already had. I hope that's just something, an exaggeration that someone did.
Probably a costume edition or something, like a customizable thing.
I don't
bringing
know.
all that back.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Don't forget that too.
Yeah.
A certain amount of Namco's team has probably been working on Street Fighter across Tekken, so there's probably going to be some bleed over from some of that stuff some of the elements they put in that game, and that's probably why some of that stuff is now in the new Tekken, because it's been in their head for the past couple months.
Yeah, that's still a bad really bad
I'm
choice.
not excusing them. that's a reason. That's not an excuse.
What you mean, the customizable pieces and all that shit?
Like
Yeah.
even some of the gameplay elements. I'm like, if they weren't working on it, but they were damn sure playing it and watching it and hanging around when it was being done. So
yeah,
it's definitely I think it's a joke because his hair is really
it's
tall.
way tall. I was like, holy crap!
And I want to know how much mousse this dude is.
That's all rage. It's all rage.
Because I can't believe his hair is still staying up that high.
I know, right?
It is very high. It's very high up there, man.
Now, I want to throw this out there too, so that like people listening don't think this is all like hating for the sake of hating. We have been playing Tekken since its inception, so it's not like we're just saying this. Like a lot of these kids that are like 12, they don't know shit about the game. They probably came in after Tekken 4. And they complain like they really know where the series has come from and where, you know, what it's lacking and blah, blah, blah. No, the graphics in Tekken have always been a cut above almost everything else.
Every iteration has always been a step up from the last.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I've heard people say that Tekken, you know, 5 had bad graphics and 6 had bad. No, you guys are fucking out of your damn minds. The games always were beautiful on a fundamental technical level. The character models are some of the best in the business. Soul Calibur, the first Soul Calibur, even has had some of the best character models in the business. Their musculature was on point, muscles flexed and moved.
Yeah, they flexed. That was ridiculous.
You know, hair, everything was segmented. It wasn't like each piece was just modeled together. They were all separate pieces. So yeah, I'm not.
Graphics is not a complaint at all.
Yeah, that's not a valid point for anybody when we talk about, you know, Namco and Tekken. The games since Tekken Tag 1 on the PS2, Tekken has been like at the top of the game when it comes to, you know, graphics. God, I hate when that thing goes off like that.
Oh, the graphics and their presentation has been on point.
Yeah, their presentation's been like on point, super on point.
20 people alone worked on Max's hair. Come on.
That was a beast. His hair was a beast, man. Got that moose going. That moose was working for him, boy. I ain't gonna lie.
Exactly. Because, man, you just swinging them nunchucks around. Can't, like, have them, like, brush up against the side of it and push something out of place. That's horrible. That's worse than KO right there.
I know, right? But yeah, we're not complaining because if you notice, we've spent a good time pointing out what could be done to improve. All this is being said so that people know when you play the game, they've cut out so much of the intricacies that we dug that made Tekken awesome. Another point I don't like I said, none of the new characters are cool to me. None of them. They all look real generic and real derivative of shit that's already out there in a bad kind of way. Like, I've heard people say all this positive stuff about Shaheen, and I'm like, yeah, no. He looks like he's in the wrong fucking game. Like, I know he's Middle Eastern and stuff, and I get it. Couldn't he wear the headdress and then wear regular clothes? You know what I mean?
See, that's the funny thing, though. He asked for input from the Middle Eastern community.
I know, and they all said, yay, whatever, it's Tekken. Yay, do whatever you want. We love it that he's in the game. I get it. Yeah, people are pussies when it comes to actually interjecting the like a real truth when it comes to a real like a critique, an honest critique to a celebrity, quote unquote. You know, like if a rapper came in and he spit fucking, 28 bars that were just whack, everybody'd be like, yo, that was dope, man. That was good. That was hot. No, it was garbage. Tell him it's garbage so he can do better. It's the same thing.
Just be more of that.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't understand that, and people do it.
They like this shit. Okay, let's do some more.
Yeah. And they'd be like, okay. That's what the people want. That's what the fans want. I used to see it all the time on various sites. Back in the day, there was a site called Crawl Space where like all the comic book artists used to post their artwork and stuff, and everybody would just kiss like Rob Liefeld's ass. And I'm like, and then behind his back on like Pencil Jack forums and shit like that, they would talk shit about him. And I'm like, but you just told him that what he posted was fucking awesome. And now the same image is on this forum, and you're all dissing it. Like, and that was when he was doing the Heroes Reborn shit. This is how long ago it was. But it's like people were making fun of him on one site and giving him props on the other site. You owe it to yourself to tell these guys, no, this shit doesn't work. Like, he literally looks like half of his body stepped out of Assassin's Creed, and then he's got jeans and boots on, and it's like,
well, they toned it down because before his pants were baggier. He had all the knives in the band.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, man. And it's not like there aren't Middle Eastern fighters also. That's what pisses me off. Like Krav Maga, that's probably the most popular, well-known Middle Eastern martial art. You couldn't give us a cop or just a practitioner, like a self-defense instructor or something. And the fact that he looks like the guy who you pointed out, the dude from
the guy who got exiled from Saudi Arabia
because he's pretty. Like, really? Seriously, Harada? And then the fact that people are like, yeah, that's dope. Like, I love it. It's awesome. Come the fuck on. This is why I say fans do not know what they want. And I almost guarantee we're going to have a shitload of people in the comments with STRYDENT, I don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. You don't know what you want.
At least we can have them contemplate it and think about it, because I mean, that's the only thing we can do if we keep raging some kind of conversation. Most people are just like, oh, they made it, oh, fuck it, it's good.
It's good, exactly.
Instead of contemplating, okay, this is what can make this shit better. This is the shit I don't like.
Yeah.
And stop kissing people's asses. I mean, they need to hear it, because right now what you're telling them is that they're doing a good ass job. And they need to hear something. They need to hear the truth, damn it.
Yeah, they need to go further.
If you tell them you don't like it, then it's going to go away, and then you'll never have it again.
What?
That's Capcom's. That's Capcom's mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, Capcom's mentality for sure is definitely like, don't tell us that it's bad or else we'll stop making it. They'll punish you because you told them they didn't do something right. Because they do that to people who speak up about their games, you know, like on YouTube all the time. I know tons of people who've been censored for saying that, you know, something they did sucked.
Wow. I mean, honestly, this is the thing. Like I just feel that it needs to have a direction that it's going. You want to try to make it more realistic? Yeah, it seemed like from Street Fighter 3, and then before they stepped back. They took a step back.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, you have a game that's actually making bounds to be really, really complete. Game, even though it was 2D, it still had the elements of like, okay, this is a fight that I would like to see, like that replicates a real life situation. And then 3, they just went all comic book.
Yeah,
and just toned down all the subtle things that Street Fighter 3 had in it, that you were like, oh, look at that little nuance that I really like, that brings things to life, these characters, you know. Like, then 4 just totally just evaded from that whole direction. And
they're regressed.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't understand. And I hope, and it seems like that's what they're trying to do for Tekken. Instead of going forward with it, they're taking a step back and adding things in that don't even fit the genre.
Yeah.
Well, look at the last couple of Street Fighters. I mean, again, 3, like 1, 2, 3, clear progression, art style and fighting style and character design, like in layout. But then you look at 3 to 4. 3 to 4, yeah, there was definitely a visual style change, but they just went right back to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as far as like the most of the character base and, like, you know,
the story,
most of the movesets and everything, plus all, and then now look at 4 to 5.
Yeah. And I will say, I'll give him props for making Ryu look more on point, because like after we saw what Harada's team was doing with Ryu, it's like, yeah, how come he doesn't look like Ryu in Street Fighter? So, you know, it's dope that they actually said, okay, we need to step it up and make him look better. Okay, fine, I give you props for that. Now on the flip side, everything else is still not really that amazing. You know, like his moveset in in Street Fighter Third Strike was perfect. And then they changed that shit in Street Fighter 4. and all the various versions, they need to just go back to that shit. It was perfect. And I know he has some of those
Yeah,
moves.
his Shinryuken is like an EX move now. It's not even a. It's not like the move that you
end the fight with.
Like, okay, yeah, like that. Like Ryu's Shoryuken should have always been that move that ends everything, because he split fucking Sagat's chest open with it in the first tournament way back in the day.
Yep.
So
I think
it seems like a natural progression that he would evolve his style to that Ansatsuken without the killing technique, but it still has all the power to it.
Exactly.
It seems like that's where he was going to go. But then 4 comes along and it's all backwards.
Let's give Tekken props on at least the story progression. Like, people getting older, people doing this. I mean,
no, but all that stopped. All that stopped in Tekken, what?
Because it was supposed
6?
to be every 10 years.
Yeah. Like, Heihachi's in his hundreds now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heihachi and Wang.
Yeah, they're like in their hundreds.
They could have made some plot twist shit where
but
he found.
We're trying to give them props for what they did, and what they did is they didn't follow their own rule. Like, how many Iron Fist tournaments have happened since Tekken 3? Let's be fair. You know, since Tekken 3, it's been a gang of Iron Fist tournaments. Like a whole gang of them, and it's supposed to be 10 years, right? So we're on Tekken 7. That's 40 years, if they're going by the 10-year rule. You know?
I mean, they tried to cover up some of it, you know, by saying, like, oh, well, Nina was cryogenically frozen between the first and second and third tournament. So, therefore, that's why she still looks the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you tried.
Yeah, I'll give him... No, that's cool, because that's fine. But, like, when they move past that, it's like, okay, so now what's the excuse? Like, what's going on with everybody else? Did you guys forget there was some kind of story? Because this is why people always say there's no story in fighting games, because the people making the games don't bother to push it to them.
Absolutely ridiculous. Why can't there be one?
Yeah.
I could totally see a fighting game where they start off and you're pretty much watching cinema scenes before you go to a damn fight.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, it's totally possible. It'll make the campaign, or the not campaign, but just like the story mode more enjoyable. You're looking at it like a movie. You know, you can find different ways for people to get in these altercations instead of just they all come to this random spot and say, "Hey, you, I want to fight." You know, it's just they all, and then they can play with different costumes because shoot, I just got off of work one day, you know, or something like that, and then you go to the tournament, and you know what I mean? It's a progression. It could be a dang story.
That's kind of what they've done with, you know, the Mortal Kombat 9 and with Injustice.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat is trying to do that. I'm just not like, it's there. It should be there because that's what we watch in the films.
Yeah.
Why is it not implemented in a game that had a great influence on the genre itself?
Yeah,
it should be there. It should be there. That's status quo. It should be there. Right?
I agree.
Well, of course, now what they should, of course, now work on is, of course, the mechanics and advancing it, because that's the whole point of making another game.
Nope. The point is the money.
Don't forget it was almost like Capcom almost had that down too. Again, that's why you had, like, you know, your alphas. You know, alpha was technically like a new game, but like every time they came up with a numbered game, there was a significant advancement in technology, in gameplay, in art style,
in storyline, and way of telling the story.
But yeah, when they finally figure out how to do that, I'll give them credit. The story is garbage, just so long as you present it in a decent way.
Exactly.
Like, present it in a new way instead of just cutscenes or like a little post-fight blurbs or whatever. Like, just try to, like, advance that part of it. Show me that you're thinking about that.
Think about all the games. Like,
I don't even want to give him. I don't want to give him that. Though. I'm sorry. I want to see. I want to see some pretty dang good voice acting. Like, these person is upset, and I want to see that while I'm playing the game. I mean, of course I want to enjoy the combat experience, but if I'm playing story mode, I want to be entertained.
Yeah. Tekken has they've always had pretty decent voice actors.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to, yeah, I agree. It would be nice to see storylines and characters unfold and just characters in general develop. Like we still like Ling Xiaoyu is still like head over heels for Jin. Like either take it somewhere or have her go do something else.
Yeah, she hates him now. She's like, he's ignoring me. F him. I'm gonna go check out this dude over. I mean, I don't know.
I'm gonna devote my life to my kung fu or some shit.
I don't know, man. It's
No,
something,
she just go a couple bars. That's all.
They need to.
I don't know.
No, the can of worms that would open.
I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna write the story for them because we'll sit here and we'll say all these things, and it's not like they pay attention to all of this. But it would be nice if the fan base would pay attention to what they actually have been buying all this time, and then when they're given the opportunity to improve, and tell the people making the games, we need this, or is this good or is this bad? Actually tell them, and like give them a realistic outlook on what needs to be changed instead of talking the same bullshit where it's like, don't nerf my character because he's my favorite. I love him and you nerfed him last time. Like, come on, get over that shit. Like, we need balance in the game, we need better storytelling, and we need a real progression from game to game. Like, innovation from game to game. It's simple, and it's weird because like you look back at like games like King of Fighters from back in the day, you look at 94 all the way to like 2001, and those games really progressed. Like combo system got easier. I remember the first two barely had a combo system, but then by the time you got to like 98, which is one of my favorites, you had a combo system and the moves were easy to do. Do you remember the the actual inputs for some of the special moves in old SNK games? They'd be like from back to forward, then from forward to back, then down, then forward, then down, forward, then back, then forward. It's like, what the fuck?
How many moves ended with like, diagonal up?
Yeah, and it's like, wait, what?
With up and forward. How much? This is a ground move. How am I going to end with up and forward?
Yeah, and we figured
rotate the start button 12 times.
And the funny thing is,
how the hell do I do that shit?
The funny thing is, we actually figured out how to do them, and then they got easier and more like user friendly as the stories and the games progressed. That's what I want to see now. Now, yeah, they got the control part down. We get that, but we need more games to give us something different. And plus, there was like a stark difference between a Capcom games control scheme and like SNK games control schemes. Like their games, the control scheme was all over the place. I mean, it would work though because you'd eventually get used to it, and this is how you play that game. Then you go to Capcom, and they always had the half circles, just a bunch of half circles or a full circle, and that was it. Like that's except for the Dragon Punch, and the few charge characters, but like.
Yeah,
it was a very specific thing for how you did moves in a Capcom game. Same. You hate the charge characters.
I'll be back. I gotta step away for a minute. I'll be back in a bit.
Yep. Yeah, I love charge characters because you get to be deceptive with how you play because no one knows when you're gonna throw your move. Because you could be charging while you're punching and kicking and shit like that. You become really dexterous, and I like that.
It made you do that, though.
Yeah, they make you do that.
Not necessarily. It made you do that. So, like, not like just a back forward is a simple, easy way to do the move. I mean, I understand if you charge it and they have a charged version for it, something like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, there should have been.
If you wanted to get those moves out, if you wanted to get those moves out, you can get those moves out anytime. I mean, it forces you to play like how people really fight in real life instead of everyone just like doing a freaking slugfest.
Yeah,
and it gave a nuance. It gave it to a nuance to the fight to the fight itself. Just because you have to like roll back and do this, and it kind of gave you that little bounce. But if I wanted to do that, and I'm like right next to the guy, if I didn't hold it long enough, and I try to get it kind of messes up what I want to do.
I don't know. I think that's what you have the other characters for, the half circle characters. Like characters like Guile, if you look at what you're getting hit with, it was a move that moved in a straight line, and it wasn't really that powerful. So back and forward, that's exactly what he does. He dips back, and then he throws his hands forward. Perfect for the Sonic Boom. And then, which you could have done it with like a half circle from back to forward,
Exactly.
you know, but still, it works. The same thing with the freaking flash kick, you know, he ducks down and then he flips straight up. Now they added a little bit of a forward movement, but it's honestly, it does exactly what he's doing, you know. So
they shortened the charge time though.
Yeah, of course, in the years, yeah.
That made me happy.
Yeah, in the recent years, you're right. They've done that with a lot of things. Everything comes out faster now because when you go back and play the alpha games now, oh my god, the control is so hard. Like you wait for it seems like you have to put in a move so slowly and so like deliberately in order for you to get the motion. You can't like kind of, you know how like with like 360 characters that slam, you know, grab characters, you would do like from back to forward and then just tap up and then they would grab them. You couldn't do that in the old games. You could do it on the arcade, but you couldn't do it on the home systems. It wasn't until like Street Fighter 3 where it was like you could always get away with that, especially when it was their super. You just do a couple full circles while you're attacking and then just tap up and then he would just go into the super. But yeah, I miss when you had variety, you know, because then you move to the SNK games and back forward was just like Mortal Kombat, just back forward, just tap it and do the move continuously, just like you do anything else.
Yeah.
But we need more of that, man. And like I said, the biggest evolution, we need them to look at, like, if it's supposed to play like an anime, then look at an anime that's a fighter or fight-based anime, and then look at that style and mimic that fucking style. Like, even though Alpha looked like Street Fighter, the animated movie, it didn't fight like Street Fighter, the animated movies. Like, your moves were kind of like the same old Street Fighter, but the graphic style of the game matched the movie. They should have went in and made you have like all the special moves in the movie were the super moves, and that's how the game should have been. Your Dragon Punch was special. Your Hurricane Kick was special because you only see him do it once or twice. They never did it like, you don't do 50 Hadoukens in a row. You know what I mean? Like, it's as if they're afraid to move away from what tweak in any way what they're accustomed to, and that's frustrating.
That's what I always imagined what Tekken Cross Street Fighter was going to end up being. You know, you'd see Harada and his team expand on like Ryu's, you know, karate, and then his unblockables would be, you know, his fireball and his uppercut.
Yeah, it's all right.
Same thing with all the other projectile based characters, or even with like say like Chun-Li's lightning kicks. Like all that shit would be there, but you'd see her doing a whole lot more kung fu based moves, and then as an unblockable you get the lightning kicks or the spinning bird kick or the Kikoken.
Yeah.
Like
just making it in general, I would like to see how they kind of portray the Capcom characters.
Yeah,
I would really like to see that. Yeah, that's what I was really anticipating. Like, this is how they're gonna do it, and it's gonna look good.
Yeah, because Tekken was always more realistic in their portrayal of martial arts than Street Fighter. Street Fighter had like the basis was real, and then they'd go off in anime territory. Whereas like Tekken, in the beginning, it was like a Virtua Fighter clone, so they were trying to make these fantastical moves more realistic, you know? Like freaking Kazuya's Dragon Punch. That shit sent you flying because it was his whole body being thrown into one punch. Like, it makes sense. I don't know. It's strange when you see like what they started with and where they ended up, and the progression just seems so small. It's like, man, you could have gone so much further. It's like when you look at Fatal Fury, you look at Fatal Fury 1 and then look at Mark of the Wolves. It's like, holy shit, this game actually grew up. Like, it really grew up. Terry's older. Fucking, Rock is older. Geese has a son. It's all kinds of cool shit going on, and you're like, wow. Even though there's some characters in the game I think are horrible designs and stuff, it's still like you had your Old Faithful that you're used to. You had your freaky character, you had your tiny little character. You had your ninja. You had your boxer, because I think the police guy was a boxer. You had your generic karate dude, fucking cush nude butt. You had or I'm sorry, for the Americans, it's Marco Rodriguez. You had you had all those things that you see in modern fighting games, but the way that everything was done, even though they were straight up, I don't care what anyone says, they were straight up biting off of Third Strike. It still worked because it felt like they updated all the things that we came to expect from a Fatal Fury game by the time we got to this one,
Yeah.
It's just strange to me though how like that can't happen with all these other games, Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting, fucking like SNK has a track record of trying new things with each iteration of their games. And then they also had games that didn't fit into the mold of their forerunners, like their flagship games. And we talked about this, I remember on the last time we did a Off Our Brains about fighting games, we were talking about games like Kabuki Clash and what was the game that had was it Aggressors of Dark Combat? I don't think it was. Well, at first, it was an SNK game, but they took the game. That was the game with the black kid with the basketball. Remember?
Yeah.
Then you had Samurai Showdown. Then you had.
That's
Brilliant.
so racist.
It was racist. Then you had.
What was the game with the what do you call it? Not Jim Brown. Jim Kelly parody, but he had the Bruce Lee suit on.
Oh, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones. That was Rage of the Dragons. That's another one. Yeah.
That's it.
They always did like all these different games so they could try out different things, and there you got Capcom keeping it stale. And I mean, granted, a lot of what they did, it worked because the Versus games, I love the Versus games, but I don't like the new versions of the Versus games. I think the new ones are just too heavy-handed. They're ugly too. They're just not. I don't like looking at them, man. I get my head hurts when I'm looking at them. I even have the first Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I can't play it like regularly. I'll play it a few times, and then it goes into the fucking archives, and then I pull it out maybe a year later or something because I can't. It just gets on my nerves. I don't like that they've simplified it to the point where a lot of what you got used to. I mean, I was mad the first time when they simplified from 6 buttons to 4. Then they went from, using the 4 buttons, actually having specific, like your 2 punches and your 2 kicks. One of the attacks is just a strong attack, so you can launch people into the air. Like, what the fuck? Was it that difficult to make that one of your 4 buttons? Like, really? It wasn't broken in my opinion, but people got used to it and they like it, so good for them. For me, I miss the days of, Capcom style was 6 buttons. I miss that. That shit was awesome. When you play X-Men versus Street Fighter or Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, and you have all 6 buttons to use, plus your the bumpers or something on your controller if you're using a controller. That shit was awesome. It definitely helped separate, those who knew how to play from those who didn't know how to play. But I get it. Now they want to make it accessible to everyone.
Now everybody knows how to play.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could change your control around, you can do it.
Yeah.
That option.
Yeah.
Anything you're comfortable with. I mean, given the accessibility as far as personalization.
It's true.
Control.
But what I mean is the buttons themselves. You have 8 buttons on your controller, and in the Versus games, 2 of those 8 buttons are going to do the same thing because you only have the 6 options. You have 4. You have 4 attack options, and then those assist options at the top. Either it's going to be your supers or your call in your person or the team super. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be like you don't have a third punch and a third kick. You get what I'm saying? Like you used to have in the first couple, the old Capcom games. And,
well, that's what I'm saying. As far as being able to customize that in, it has that option, like that control setting. You can change it to that, and then you can just simplify it when they have both the medium and the soft, the light, and the hard.
No, you don't. You don't have medium, soft, and hard. You have just fast and hard. Fast, you have your fast and hard. You have your your quick punch and you have your hard punch, and that's it. You know, quick kick and your hard kick.
I'm saying, like, if you can customize that to have either or. You know?
It would be nice if they gave you the option. I mean, they give you the options to put other things there, but yeah, it'd be nice. You'd think by now we would have that freedom, but we don't. They're like, this is what we changed. You have to play it like this. And it's just strange.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly, right? But
oh well.
You know, it is what it is. I guess we'll survive either way. I honestly, based on what I've seen with Tekken 7, I'm not interested. Like, I'm not interested in Lucky Chloe. I think that's a dumb, redundant ass character because you already have Lily and Xiao Yu and Xiao Yu's friend. Why do we need another, you know, idolish? Oh, and fucking what's the chick's name? Asuka. Why do we need another idol-ish character who combines all of those traits into one character with capoeira moves?
I would have forgave that character had they actually, if she's supposed to be like a B girl or some shit, then give her moves that mimic like Rage of the Raging Phoenix or something like that.
Yeah, that movie with GJ Yanin. That's another character. Where is she? You know, come on.
Where is she? Yeah. But yeah, if they had incorporated like the choreography that was in those movies, in that movie where it's a mixture of actual dance and breaking and, you know, with capoeira and, you know, various other martial arts mixed in, give her that style instead of just giving her like unused Eddie Gordo moves and then calling it dance.
Yeah.
Like that's bullshit and that's lazy.
Yeah.
I would have forgave the character then. Plus, I don't like her look, but since we can customize the look of the character, I'd have just changed her into something better, into something more interesting looking.
Yeah, but once again,
that way, had they done all that,
you shouldn't have to, and that's always the thing. If they make me a game, they should be doing all that work for me. I'm buying it from them. They should do that shit right the first time. I shouldn't have to go and spend extra time that I could spend playing the game, customizing to make the character look palatable to me. That just feels like it's.
Oh no, I agree.
You know, but yeah,
I did that with everybody though. Like I like the way Kazuya looks in, you know, both his, you know, original and alternate costumes in Tekken 6 and Tekken Tag 2. But just for shits and giggles, I would change his stuff up and make him look, you know, I guess put him in something that I hadn't seen them do before, just because.
Yeah.
And having that option is always is always nice.
It's a fun option. Yeah, I agree. It's a fun option, but it shouldn't be a necessity. Like you shouldn't have to do that. You know.
Yeah. Of course. Well, what I take from this is definitely they're leaving the route that they pretty much established over all these years, and just trying to they're getting out of their. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's not even their comfort zone. It's just what they started, you know?
Yeah. So they're getting out of that to conform, for the most part.
Yeah.
Adding all the flair, adding the power moves instead of evolving.
Instead of continuing to carve their niche, they're just more than welcome to just like slide into somebody else's groove.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Well, yeah, it gives all those new Tekken fans that are gonna, I guess, spring up out of nowhere. I don't know where, but I guess it gives them a chance to be able to play the game and stay in the game. Whereas, like back in the day, their way of catering to that crowd was introducing a new character that had a bit simpler style
playing
of play.
Style,
like
yep.
Tekken 2, you had Back. Tekken 3, you had Horong.
You had Horong and Eddie Gordo.
Because people would you could just play with the kick buttons all day with Eddie in that game and do all kinds of shit, not really know what you were doing until people got used to seeing the character.
Yeah,
then you couldn't do that anymore. You had to start playing with them.
Yeah, I mean,
now
people always get confused with new adjusting, I guess, to new characters, new fighting styles. But just evolving the mechanic. I mean, we want to see more feints. I mean, want to make it more realistic as far as the evolving the strings. I want to see some camera angles when I do some of these strings and catch them. You know, because it's like a moment when you catch these cool things. You know, you have to make like shit. I pulled off this dang string. Look at that crazy ass camera move that happened. You know, I want to see some interaction with the background because what are you not? That's what all this new technology is going to allow you to do.
Yeah.
You know, the next gen system should be a next gen experience, and I think incorporating the environment is a necessity.
Like really incorporating the environment, because now you can kick them, and you've been able to kick them into things, but that was it. I mean, I want to see, like, you know, if there's a glass table in the room or a glass shelf, I want to be able to pick them up and slam them on the table, or you know, the shit that we see in kung fu movies that ends the fight. Like, I want to see that, like fucking the Bourne movies, when you're like hitting people in the bookcases and the bookcase falls over on them and shit. You know, like, I want to see that kind of shit where you're like, damn, kick them through a window, and when they get up, they've got pieces of the glass in their face or something, or on their body or something, and they're just like, and they fall over.
Yeah,
I want to see that.
I want to see like, not just okay, this dude is kicking this guy through a wall. I want to see this guy try to kick this guy through a wall, and he counters it, and the dude's foot stuck in the dang thing, and you do a move and knock him out of it. Some crazy.
Yeah, like your counter could be,
the
counters could be more cinematic and more like choreography, you know, based, because it just seems like you just go through the motions, and it's more technical, where you're just doing moves, and it's not the full experience. I want them to find a way to cover the frames, the counting frames bullshit. You know, make the game based on actually getting in the rhythm of people's combos, and not so much of this technical bullshit where some dorky ass individual could sit there and stare at the screen and count how many frames it takes for a move to do whatever it does. Like, get away from that shit, because that's not how we fight. That's not fighting.
What they need to do is they need to go back to how we used to do the dollar combo, because there was combos you could start doing, like when you'd make it up your own moves or your own sequence of moves, and you could depending on how long you kept the button pressed, you could
stagger it.
You could stagger the move. And
but that goes back. It goes back to us talking about feints and stuff. You know, if they add feints and things to the, you know, they could add a move like in Bloody Roar 3. You remember when you play as Hugo? If you start doing some of his like his version of the Dempsey roll, you could do a dip. Like, you remember how he had a spinning duck, like where you would duck under a punch and spin forward, and then you could stagger the Dempsey, one of your punches from your Dempsey roll, and then continue it after you dodge an attack. You know what I mean? Or like, you could go into one of your flicker punch combos, spin, and go straight into your Dempsey roll. Well, give us a transitional move that would allow us to go into, you know, adding moves to our combo strings. I mean, it's just weird how there's so much stuff, and I know some asshole is going to be like, you already could do that. I understand how it exists in the game now. What I'm saying is, give us freedom to do it, like, all across the board for other people. Because everybody has some kind of feint. Law has the whole quick back forward, and he'll get into the quick, like, that little quick stance that he'll do, and then you could do all power hits afterwards. I'm talking about give us, or like Hwarang has the flamingo stance. I'm talking about make it a little bit simpler, so that everybody has this one thing. Like, this should be a mechanic. Everyone has some way to feint, you know, a motion, a particular, it could be a different motion for everybody, but a different kind of feint, so that you can continue your combos, stagger your combos, whatever, and it would make the game, I think that right there would completely change a lot of things. And they need to just drop the fucking juggles to 2 hits and call it a day. And they need to be power hits, like a powerful sweep or a powerful uppercut, and that's it. The characters need weight.
Yeah, I want to see some really, really cool juggle hits in the air. But as far as in addition to the mechanic, there was this one game. I mean, its most basic features of the game, like, it's called Versus. I don't know if anybody played it.
I played it. It's real old, wasn't it?
Like, when you hit it, it's called Versus.
Yeah, it's real old. It wasn't. It was on. What was it on? The Saturn or the PS1?
PS1.
I think it's PS1.
Like you hit the guy in the ground, and then like right before they hit the ground, they can flip up, like in those kung fu movies,
like in Rival Schools.
Yeah, like you before you hit the ground, you flip up because like you can continue fighting. It doesn't have any breaks or in slows. Like if I hit you with a front kick and you flip back up and you just come back with another move, I want to see cool shit like that. Like that I don't just have to stop because I fell on the ground and then have to wait for this animation to get up. I can do
something to interrupt it, you know, like to
interrupt it. Yeah. Fake a fake fall. You spin and then you roll and then do a move out of it or some crazy. I mean,
like an instantaneous thing. Instantaneous, like not a wait, not a fuck. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Not a tech roll.
Yeah, like instant. Like you literally, if you press an attack button in the air, kind of like we were saying in Bloody Roar 3, you have like a juggle escape. So when you get hit and you hit your what was it, the 2 buttons that you're supposed to hit, you would flip and just land on your feet. Like that's the way it should be. They did it in Street Fighter Alpha 3 when you hit the kicks instead of the punches. Remember? I think, or if you hit the punches, you flipped up. If you hit the kicks, you rolled on the ground. Like it should be like something simple like that, so that the fight looks good. It's not just you're fighting. It needs to look like something. Identity, character.
You don't necessarily have to do it because animations will play out accordingly. But like if you do it, I mean, you should get rewarded for being a beast at the technique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, shoot, I flip up like, oh shit, you did this move, you get a boost in energy, like you just did a cool move, a style move, or something like that. You know?
Yeah.
I think that'd be freaking amazing.
I don't know. It's weird that we're sitting here coming up with all this shit. And like none of it exists. None of it exists in any modern games right now. If they have something, they have things that could kind of sound like it, but none of it exists the way we're saying right now, so that you could just jump in and play.
If it doesn't exist, because if it did, I'd probably play it right now.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't exist.
I agree.
That's the problem with the industry as a whole. Nobody, like I was talking with a friend the other day, like we both came to the same conclusion. Like the era of great games ended with like the PS2 and Xbox era. Like that was the last time we had games that actually were like, oh my god, like we'll never see another game quite like, say, like Shadow of Colossus, unless they ever come out with Last Guardian. Never.
What's Last Guardian? What are you talking about?
It was I swear, I saw a video.
I know, right? Last Guardian? Are you kidding me? Really?
Talking about it and everything.
Yeah.
At least I thought.
I know, right? Like, really? They don't want us to think about that game. We're on a PS4. Didn't they say it was coming out on like PS3 or something like that? Matter of fact,
the entire console generation, we never saw that.
Yeah, like
10 years.
I want to see Shenmue, man.
Yeah, whatever happened to Shenmue?
It was ahead of its time, man.
Yeah, man.
It was too ahead. That's why.
Another one they're just not going to make anymore.
I want to hit
people. But yeah, they don't want to do it because it's work. Like, honestly, it's work. Like, when I did that video about hatred, like,
oh, God.
It was so simple for them to just put that game together because there's not much at all in the game.
Yeah.
And they're going to make just as much money if they had actually put in work and did a storyline and had a antagonist and a protagonist, actually did research on the subject. But instead, it's just, hey, go and shoot all these people because it's fun and we all like blood and torture porn. So just go do it, and people are going to go and buy it anyway because that's what they like to do, and it's freedom of speech because we're in America. So they're going to make the money regardless.
Yeah,
and that's our problem. That's the problem we have with games.
Yeah, they don't choose to say anything. They don't want to, evolve the medium as an art form or anything. They just want to do it. They just want to make games. They don't care about anything else but making games and making a profit. So we're going to keep getting shit.
I don't care about making a profit. Because even look at, you mentioned like the last, like you said, PS2, Xbox is pretty much like that was like the great gaming generation. But because look at what's been happening to the industry since like, PS1, PS2, PS3. Like how many development studios have like died?
Yeah, I know, right?
Since like during the last generation, the Xbox 360 and PS3. like because they're all getting folded into like other companies, or they're disappearing. Mainly Microsoft.
Or they're
is making
managing
a
their
ton of-
companies poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like why did it
Microsoft's
take
making a ton of them.
10 studios to make Assassin's Creed Unity, and then the game is all bugged the fuck out with glitches and shit? Like, that's unacceptable. And
I would not brag about that.
yeah, I would have never
We have so
said
many people
anything.
working on this, and like first off, I'm not paying you more just because you cracked open a history book and like actually found out what Florence looked like.
Yeah.
So what the fuck what? You could have pulled that shit up from some TV show or something. No one would have known or cared.
Exactly.
Except history professors.
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck is this? This is not how it looks.
exactly.
This is not what their architecture looked like. No one would have cared.
Yeah.
So like, don't like, look for a pat on the back as, oh, we got this up to be totally accurate. Well, apparently, I missed the part in the Human Anatomy where the skin disappears off your face. I must have missed that in A&P. I must have missed, in Anatomy and Physiology. I must have missed that day.
Yeah, it's just that thing.
So you can walk around one day and just all of a sudden you're just eyes and teeth.
You stepped into the movie They Live.
Literally, I'm like, man.
I mean, in the general sense, it's like we're just looking for advancement in the mechanic. You had a great niche. You had something working for you as far as character development, about the martial arts legends that we grew to understand, and then you can give us this history lesson on to some of the new cats that just started picking up the games, and incorporating that into the game. And it just seemed like they're going the easy way out. They didn't want to do any investments. We were discussing before Stryden about how each Tekken game, it seemed like they're making bigger jumps. This one, we hardly saw anything at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Yeah, the jump was incorporating
That's a
what other games are kind of already doing.
yeah. And it's like, all the stuff that we said, that we stated, if they can put in the game, I think that'd probably be like one of the games that everybody looks at.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Yeah, because it's nothing we're saying is anything that would alienate people. It's things that, it's more tools for any player to learn. If you suck and you only know the basic stuff, you can still play at a basic level. Depending on how good you are at that basic level, you could still win against experienced characters if your chess game is good. But if you're
it's not going to look as pretty.
Exactly. And if because I remember back in the day when you used to watch people play games, you could see like the guy who knew how to play the game, like we'll use Killer Instinct. The rest of us would do like a little 10-hit monster combo. And we'd be like, yeah, we'd be all happy.
Yeah, bitch.
And then this one kid will come in and do a fucking ultra combo. It's like 99 hits and he murders the guy through his second bar and everything. You're just like, God damn, you could do that? Like, you'd be amazed, Or like, you watch two people play Tekken and if they know their character. Like, I remember the first time I saw somebody play Lei in Tekken 3. And he knew how to switch through all the styles and everything. And he was fighting a girl who played as Nina. And she knew how to counter, like, really well. And I didn't know that you could counter and then counter the counter. Because I didn't have the game yet. It was in the arcade only at that time. And I'm watching them play. And I'm watching how they do their moves and what they counter. And how Lei switches from one move to the next. You're like, damn, this actually looks really good versus me trying to figure it out, There should be a difference when you watch high-level people play the game. Like when I watch Evo footage of Justin Wong and Daigo playing Street Fighter 4, it doesn't look any different from the rest of us.
Nope.
But when they played Street Fighter 3, it looked immaculate.
Yeah.
Immaculate.
Yeah, that's what made the parry so iconic.
Exactly. It wasn't just the skill, it was the whole presentation of everything and the way it worked. I want to see that,
the way they fought in it, the way they did the moves at specific times and different techniques they used to bait characters. I mean, it just made the game more enjoyable to just as a spectator's point of view.
Yeah.
Plus, he took a mechanic in the game and did something that literally no one else had thought to even do or even thought possible.
Yeah.
And you don't really get that with some of the stuff they've done since then. It's all kind of like, this is what you do, and this is pretty all you do with it.
Yeah.
Well,
You
no,
can
no,
either
no.
You can
It's
do the focus.
now it's let's make the game easier because you couldn't do the attack that we put in the previous
Yeah.
game. Like they
Exactly.
nixed the whole entire fucking parry because so many people couldn't do it and the newbies were like, it's too hard. Are you fucking kidding
Then
me?
don't do it.
Yeah, then
Then
find
don't
another
do
way
it.
around it. Like that's why I
That's like,
love SNK versus Capcom 2 was so awesome for the fact that they gave you all of that shit. And they were like, look, if you like the parry, make your character have a parry. If you like the alpha counter, make your character have an alpha counter. You know what I mean? If you prefer the SNK just defense and all that shit, play the SNK way then. If you don't like any of that shit, don't put it there. You can be just straightforward, super regular Street Fighter, regular like Samurai Showdown or old King of Fighters. Like that was what was awesome. They were all styles of play and you knew which thing came from what game. Now, I don't know what they're doing because all these games have the same attacks and the same. They're doing the same shit because they're trying to cater to the same people, and that's the part they need to stop doing. Make your game have its identity. I mean, shooters, it's the same thing with them. Third-person games, same thing with them. They're all the third-person action games are trying to be like Uncharted. They just do they do little bits and pieces of what you found in Uncharted. They don't do all of it really good like Uncharted does.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
I have a question for you guys.
What's up?
It's gonna start a new discussion, but just as far as you said, a lot of people are doing this same easy things. They're watering it down pretty much, and not giving the advanced players the chance to explore all the mechanics. What do you guys think about like the Mortal Kombat? How they have 3 versions of one character?
It's dumb. It's dumb, I think it's
just have that character have all those moves.
Exactly. Like it's them streamlining shit they already did. Didn't they already do games where you had 3 styles?
Yeah.
Now you're gonna make it like Street Fighter Third Strike, where their whole entire play style, the moves and everything, depend on like the ism that you choose. Like it just seems.
I thought that was silly.
It's silly.
No, they tested it out. If you think about it, they tested it out in Injustice.
Yeah, that's true.
Like certain characters had weapons or attributes that when you did a certain button, it would give you a different effect. Like Nightwing had the sticks, but then he could put it together
and it'd be a
make
staff,
and he had a
totally different
moveset.
Yeah.
Batgirl had her bat, knuckle dusters, and if you hit the button, they would be electrified. And now you can do chip damage, and you could do other things with that feature.
With that move on, yeah. It's still Injustice.
But it wasn't separate characters.
No, it wasn't. But I'm saying
it
started there, and then when they went to Mortal Kombat,
I thought they did do it like that though, because you had an Insurgent version and you had a the regular version, and then the like Insurgent versions, they were a little bit different as far as like the suit. So that if they were wearing a different suit with different gear, they had different abilities.
No, it was the same.
No, it was the same.
Okay.
I think it's the same. I just think that was kind of silly.
Yeah, I think it's silly. Just give them all those moves.
Just give them extensive
move lists. Yeah, that makes sense. Like your moveset should just be big. I mean, shit, it's fucking next gen. Your games are on Blu-ray. Your games are on.
But that's what that's what the casual gamers complain about. I don't want to play Tekken because there's too many juggles. The juggles go on too long, and everybody's move list is too long. Like,
yeah, but that gives you a lot of tools. Instead, they want it all broken up. Like, you're still getting a ton of moves. You're just getting it in a different package. So that's why I keep saying the fucking average gamer, the average fan, they don't know what the fuck is going on. They just know when they play something, because few of them come to it with a critical eye. The only reason why we know what we're talking about in this situation, like I wanted to make games to a point. And then when I learned, at the time, you have to be Japanese, you have to be in Japan, you have to work for a Japanese company, I was like, okay, fuck it. They're going to steal my ideas. I can't do anything, It's not like I didn't try. Or like you guys play shit. I know all of you at some point were interested in gaming as like some portion of gaming as like a job or something, you know, how it works, if you could do something, or if you had an idea that you thought through all the way that you could make into a game. And besides that, we went to school so we could learn to do some part of, you know, the job, one of the jobs at least that is part of this industry, you know? So our eyes are a little different. The way we look at things and the eye with which we look at these things is a little different from the average. The average, they just pay money to be entertained. So they're not really looking at it in a critical kind of way. And that's why we keep getting shit and they keep saying it's good, because they don't know. They just don't know, and they're too proud to admit they don't know. Like a lot of times we go through those arguments in the comments, you know, you see it a billion times. Something will be good, and there's always that one asshole that just says, "Oh, it sucks. It's horrible." Why is it horrible? It just is horrible.
Forget that asshole.
But I'm just saying, like, it's so common that's why we keep getting these things. These things keep repeating because people aren't being critical. They're just buying. They're being consumers. They're doing what they're taught to do, and it just, I don't know. It kind of sucks. I mean, sometimes it'd be nice if we could turn this part off. So we could just be like, hey, I'm gonna enjoy it like you guys do. But
yeah, it can't. I can't.
You can't. Yeah.
It's that critical thinking process. But honestly, like, I think if the game developers and game companies think that that's what people are, the general masses are looking at, as far as, okay, we want it simplified, we want it easy, that's some BS. If you look at some of the popular game, like, I'm gonna keep bringing Uncharted up there. Look how amazing that game is and so technically sound. You know what I'm saying? It has so much subtle things inside of it that they put inside of it that bring it to life.
I will say though, the third Uncharted pissed me the fuck off, like, a lot, because they would do stuff like snipe you through the floor. You just see the freaking beam from the sniper rifle going through the floor. You'd be like, for real? How do you see me on this floor? I'm a whole floor under you. How do you see me? Yeah, there were goofy things in that game too, but yeah, no game, and that's why I hate when I read reviews and people bring up glitches. No game this console generation was free of glitches. Yeah, I'm like, get out of here. But okay.
Thankfully, we're ready for the next generation. So
yeah, right. Yeah, whatever.
Awesome online connectivity. You know, playability. It's going to be great.
Zero lag.
Awesome.
Well, here
beta test everything.
That's the thing they do.
They need to beta, triple, alpha, omega, every damn thing.
They got the publisher pushing for a release date that the game's obviously not ready for.
Yeah,
and that's why we have 20 gig day one patches and shit.
And then that's called the kappa test. It's like they have the alphas, the beta, and then the kappa test is called when people buy it and then you hear this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Whenever I walk into this room, the game freezes. My save file disappeared. Wow, didn't know that would happen. Well, here's a patch.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe there isn't a patch. Who knows? Depending on how bad the problem is. Yeah, that like, day whatever, I think it was like day 7, friggin' like, I won't call it day 1 patch for Unity. That was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that, like, games nowadays are, more complex to put together than, back in the SNES Genesis days. Yeah. But still, like, maybe instead of doing a game every 2 years, maybe you should take 3 to 4 years to make sure you can iron out the kinks.
Mm-hmm.
Or work on your team leadership skills so that things can get done in a timely manner, so you can have time to work out all the bugs and kinks. So that by the time you reach that release date, your game's good to go. Like, the only thing that saves, games like Tekken and Soul Calibur is the fact that they build the game, they put it out in the arcade, and then
that's their
beta test.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time it comes to the console, they've worked out all the kinks, and they don't need all the patches like Capcom did with Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
With every iteration, like, you got a new version, and then you had a patch to iron out whatever they fucked up or didn't get to when they released the game. When they released the new Alpha Super Mega Be All End All version.
Yeah. Okay, well, here's
everybody hates on Tekken, but Tekken put out a better product than Capcom did.
They always do. They've been consistent for years. But here's a different thing. We'll jump off on a different thing because usually we seem to end on a negative note where we're like, man, like I wish they would change it, but they won't. So fuck it, you know. But no, here's a positive. What game in the past do you think? And this could be any kind. It could be a action adventure game. It could be straight up fighting. But what game did you play in the past that you think did the best job of serving up kind of a different experience, but still giving you the things that you like from, you know, a fighting game experience, you know, like visceral hits and, you know, pretty deep, fairly deep, you know, combat, you know, shit like that. Like, what games do you guys remember from the past that you played avidly that had those kind of things in them? I'm going to say I remember I liked Urban Reign because they tried to do a lot of things different, and we noticed that in Tekken Tag 2, a lot of Urban Reign is in it. Like a lot of the tag moves, the tag specials come from Urban Reign, where you're like putting people up on your shoulders and jump kicking them off and shit like that. I liked the complexity of the fact you could dip like you could in Bloody Roar 3. You didn't block everything, you dipped things. I liked how, like, if you did your focus, you had like these power-ups. You had a focus power-up and you had a straight-up power-up. So when you did the regular power-up, your moves did double damage. When you did the focus, if you were like a wrestler or something, in some cases you'd have a new move set and you couldn't be countered. Like, or, I mean, you would automatically counter. Some people would grab you and you'd automatically reverse it and get behind them or, you know, move out the way or something. They just had a lot of cool ideas that I wish they would do another one so that they could give us the polished version of all of that shit, you know?
I agree.
Guys was another one. I had that game.
That's mine right there. Yeah. Guys.
Yeah, go ahead. Go into it. Tell me.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like the way that they made this, it felt like a fighting scene.
Yeah,
they used the whole environment for one. All of these characters had their of course every character had their own personality, but like there's ground combat. There's fighting. There's different levels. I mean, you don't have to have that in, of course, a 3D fighting game like something like Tekken, but I mean, put it on different levels. If you hit somebody off of this, they fall into this area. There's height differences and stuff like that respond to the environment. I just like the environment interaction. My boy Nassim, man, I just love his
moveset was insane.
Face, man, he moved and dodged with his head, put his hands down.
Yeah.
The Roy Jones type of fight style. I love that.
Yeah.
And they have moves out of those moves that just like, that was one of my favorite games.
And it's weird because that was Square. Fucking Square. Yeah. And the fact that they were making fun of Tekken with fucking Ken Mishima, God Hand. And it's like, he had the freaking, like, his hand would fold down and he had a cannon in his arm. Like, the game was awesome in the fact that it was original. And, like, you know, this is Square. They don't make fighting games. And they made one and it was fucking, like, really dope. The thing that surprised me is, like, anytime you get a game and then, like, you play it a couple years later and you discover something else, that's amazing because that's depth. That means they put a shitload of stuff in there. Like, my favorite character in Guys was Claire. Well, characters were Claire and Koji. They were the two that were exclusive to the home version. And Koji was probably the first, like, real MMA, like, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner in a video game, like a fighting game, because he had the low stance. He even had the ground stance where he'd lay on his back and put one foot up so he could catch you if you jumped on him. And he had all the reversals, you know, he had all the guillotine and the side punches, the whole nine. And this was like, I mean, what year did that game come out in? This
like
was
late 90s, maybe?
Yeah. It was a long time ago. Long.
98.
And, man, it just was awesome. But the thing is, the counters and the way that, like, I played when they, you know, you do the whole thing with the Final Fantasy characters. You remember how you could unlock them? And I was playing as Claire through the regular game, and I fought Tifa. and she put me in a figure four, not a figure four, like a Boston Crab or something. And I was beating up the controller, and then she reversed it. She like turned it around, and I was like, "Wait, what? You can do that?" And then when I reversed that, she turned around and reversed the next move, and I can't remember what I did. I think I put her in a leg lock of some sort. She rolled with me, and then she grabbed my leg, and it just kept going because I kept hitting the controller the same way I did the first time, and I'm just like, "Holy shit, this is like real fighting!" Like, and if you play as Koji, it was even better because like they'd be punching you on top. And then you would just grab them and choke them. Like, and you just see their energy drop. Like, just choke them real quick. And it's just like, bloop. You lose a whole big chunk. So fights were over quickly if you could get them where your character shines. And I don't know. It was just dope. Matter of fact, no, I'm saying it wrong. When I was Claire had the Boston Crab move where she punches you in the balls like Bruce Lee would do. And what's her name countered it. She twisted and turned me over on the floor and had my leg. And I was like, what? So I was just beating up the controller, and then I countered that move. And it could go on forever. Like, if you play as Nassim and then fight, like, whatever that big dude's name was. Remember the wrestler with the bowl cut?
Yeah.
If you had the wrestler and you had Koji, you guys would be rolling on the floor countering moves forever if you keep it going, if you keep pressing. And sometimes we'd be trying to figure out where does it stop, you know? I mean, if your fingers get tired, you obviously will lose.
If you mess up, you fuck up on the controls.
But it looked so good. It looked so good. Just to like fight standing up, you circle around each other and then just charge in and grab the guy. You know, it was just, oh man. Yeah, that shit was awesome. What about you guys? Come on. I know you guys got some. You got to.
I got some more.
Just off the top, I mean, Bloody Roar 3, I loved the back and forth.
Yeah.
That dodge move that everybody had was just such a game changer.
Yeah.
Even with a game that was heavy on juggles, I think before most other fighting games got heavy on juggles. I mean, you'd watch the credits in the game, and they would have well over 100 hit juggles. I mean, they'd just be going on the entire damn credits, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you had ways to get out of everything, and you had characters who had very, very distinct play styles. You couldn't play Long exactly the same way you could play Shenlong, or if you picked Gato or Marvel or Sheena for the American version, they all had just very different play styles. There's no way you could just hop from one to the other like you kind of can now. Even in Tekken, you kind of can just jump from character to character and not fully grasp all the little nuances. It's just a little bit more accessible that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, and Yugo had Yugo was like the best boxer you'd ever seen in the game up until Tekken did Steve Fox.
I still think Dudley is.
I don't know. Street Fighter 3.
Dudley is still the best in my opinion.
Dudley is still Dudley was a beast.
But I know what you mean. He has more intricate moves than Dudley does. Yeah. And then Vanessa comes a close second for me because she had a lot of the moves that Hugo has in 2D.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'll give him that. But yeah, I do agree. He's one of the best. He's definitely one of the best boxers.
His form. It looks like boxer. Like his form was he had quick punches. He had strong ones, it
was like a nice mix between somebody who trained in boxing as their discipline, but it was like street at the same time.
Yeah, man.
He was beast.
Yeah, he was a super beast. No pun intended, because it was. The game is called Beasterizer in Japan, so we're not trying to be funny. But yeah, Bloody Roar was sick. I loved that game up to part 3, and then I don't know what happened after that.
Yeah, I fell off after that. I fell off hard.
See, they made changes, and then you guys didn't like them.
They didn't.
They
dropped
sped up
stuff.
the game in a way that just didn't work for me.
And they kept doing things with your beast meter. And even the characters started getting really stupid. There was a penguin in the game, and it's like, really? There's a were-penguin? Like, that right there gives them the razz right there, because how are you going to have a werewolf versus a fucking were-penguin? There's no conceivable way on God's green earth, even in a fake world, that a penguin is going to beat a werewolf. Like, no. It doesn't.
Why not?
Hey, no, we're not playing devil's advocate. Go stand in the corner for that shit. There's no way. There's no.
Give
That's
the Penguins a chance, man. They had a nice movie.
Happy Feet. That's why you don't find. Well, that's not true. There are Arctic wolves, but
Well, penguins in Madagascar, man. Those very same.
oh my god. Anyway, so what's your favorite Clarion from back in
Oh,
the
I
day?
don't play fighting games.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. You wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have called you. I wouldn't have had you on here if you didn't have one. Come on now.
Shaq Fu, isn't it?
Damn it! How the hell did you figure that out so fast? Dude, that was amazing. I was all excited.
I got a couple of them. But go ahead.
I was all excited when like was crowdfunding for like a new one. Of course, I'm still trying to figure out why Shaq needs to crowdfund any damn.
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
well, he's gonna match whatever they donate. He's gonna double it or match it or whatever.
We should give them some ideas and see if they.
How about not making Shaq Fu? That's a good idea. That's a great idea right there. Leave well enough alone.
Do something with it.
You know what? If they make it and it's a beast game, I want to see a screenshot.
I'll play it.
I want to see a screenshot of Strident at GameStop buying it.
I don't even go to GameStop anymore. I swore them off completely. GameStop is the devil, and I'm staying far the fuck away from them. I mean, like, and this was even when I worked there, I got tired of them, and then when I stopped working there, I cut it off altogether. I bought God of War 3, and I beat it within the week that I bought it, the first week that I bought it. So I brought it back. They're like, oh, we can only give you $10 for this. I said, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I was like, I've seen people bring back, like, Call of Duties and shit and get, like, 30 when they bring it back like that week that they bought it after the midnight launch. Some people brought it back like the day after they come at midnight, and then the following day they bring it back because they've been playing it all day and they beat it. And they would get like 30. Sometimes they'd get, a little bit more. And then I noticed that over time, it started getting less, incrementally less and less and less. Some people would even trade in a game they stole from Best Buy, still in the fucking wrapper, and get like $40 for it. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You can tell he stole that shit. Like they'll come in at like 8 or 9 o'clock and ask, how much would I get for X game? And then you tell them what the list is, from the list. And then they'd go, and then like at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, they come back with the game and fucking in the plastic. I'm like, you fucking stole this shit. It's obvious. I just saw you. But they'd still get money.
In like that big plastic container that you need the key to open.
Yeah, practically. Practically. I mean, and they start taking it. GameStop is the fucking devil. Like, it doesn't make sense. That's why I go to like the mom and pop spots, like the local spots that, people are trading shit in. Because not only are you getting your games for cheaper, you don't have to worry about all the politics that go along with all that shit. Like you won't get a ton of money for this game, but not for that game. If it's an old, rare game, yes, you'll get a ton of money. Like I traded in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 once, and I got the PS2 version, and I got a decent amount, like $80 or $70, something like that for it. But you don't get that for everything, but you
I'm
could.
Sorry, I opened that wound.
No, I stay away from GameStop though, for real. I think everybody should. They're kind of trying to monopolize, but no. What were you? Whose turn? It was Clarion's turn.
You didn't give it away.
And I didn't. Damn it! I was hoping I threw you off enough.
Nope.
Off the scent. Oh, jeez. I should ask you to restate the question, but I kind of got the gist of it.
Like which one? Yeah. What was your favorite? Good experience fighting games that it's not necessarily. It doesn't have to be a mainstream one, but just something kind of that had all the pieces that you enjoy the most about fighting games.
I realized, the first one that came into my mind, which you might guess. I'm like, wait, it doesn't have everything. It like every fighting game I played outside of up until Street Fighter, up until Third Strike, and then Tekken up until 6, well, excluding 4 and 5. Like they all clicked certain boxes. but they
Yeah.
couldn't but they weren't everything. That's why I would say like Guilty Gear. But I started thinking about it. I'm like, I really can't play that game for more than 15 minutes either, because
The heavy metal gives
my
you a
hands
headache.
yeah, because it starts to hurt, and like I start to get fall into like an epileptic seizure with some of the flashing.
I know, right?
But yeah, but that's what I think it was. It was just like the collection of games that like I had. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Like I could say that because I mean I did spend a lot of time playing. I'm trying to think of some of the games I like really poured over in like practice. I'm like same thing like Soul Calibur, probably the same thing. I said I spent a lot of time practicing in that game, like a lot.
What was it like? What's the thing?
Or even like
you talking about the first Soul Calibur or all of them?
no, like two more than or well, I was one and two.
Okay.
Probably more one. Even like the King of Fighters, man. Like I go back to them. King of Fighters was like it was like at one point the only fighting game I was playing.
Yeah, same here.
Because it was in the PS1 in arcade. It was in PS1 days. So like after I stopped playing SNES, so it was no more Street Fighter 2. And like before like some of the other stuff had really caught up.
Yeah.
Like there was King of Fighters. Like 90, I want to say 4. I think
it was 95. 95 was the first.
Game.
95 was the
95?
first one that came out on like a home system, like a regular home system, not the Neo Geo. Because you remember Dre from our school. Dre, dad was a drug dealer. This kid had like every damn game system you could think of. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Dre had it, and he's the one that pointed it out. He showed me the Neo Geo version of it. And that was the only version that Jesus, what's his name? Okay, cool, he came back. The Neo Geo version was the only version of 94 that was out at the same time as, PS1 and all that shit. And then they did 95. And then it had the retooled soundtrack and all that good stuff, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was it. It was like and I mean obviously that's when I got real exposure to the to the SNK control scheme.
Ugh. Shit's crazy sometimes.
I'd like to do their whatever they call the super move, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Because some of them it's like start like down back and then end at up back and then what? How do you expect me to do this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. No, I'm telling Jarrell he's muted. Or I'm sorry, Slice, you're muted.
Oh my goodness.
I just outed you. Fuck.
They kicked me out, and I had to come back.
Yeah, Google, you need to fix this shit. It's too difficult to get this shit going, and we always have a gang of problems. You need to fix this shit. Stop snooping on people and fix your fucking Google Plus. Stop asking us, constantly asking us for our information. You know what I mean? Like, fucking fix your services, homie. SNK had some good games. I remember when I was playing King of Fighters, I got into it when I discovered how to properly play as Clark. Because at first I would only play as Hydern, Leona, or Ralph. Because Ralph is my favorite member of the team.
Well, not Leona.
But then I learned how to play as Clark. And then it seemed like from, I want to say 98, that redo of 98, all the way through, that was my team. Ralph, Clark, and Leona until, 2001, I think it is, when they have Hydern on the team. I think you could pick 4 people because one of them could be a striker or something. I was going nuts with him because he's a beast. Like, he's huge and he has a lot of moves that actually look like grappling, like real grappling. They don't look so like goofy. I mean, he has some goofy moves, like that one when he puts you on his shoulders and just comes back down upside down on you. You know what I'm talking about? He throws you up in the air and then puts his arms out and then flies up and catches you and then just drops on you backwards and shit. Like, he's got some goofy moves, but a lot of his other moves make sense. Like when he fucking spears you and then just rolls and chokes you like the rolling death cradle. Shit like that's cool. They just had character. That's what made those games fun. SNK characters had character until Falcon started making all of them. And then
They have one
Falcone,
character.
he killed it. Yeah,
one androgynous character repeated over and over again.
yeah. They got tired. I mean,
okay, now he's got red hair. And now he's got blonde hair.
and
Now
fingernails
he's got
polished, fingernail polish with like designs on it and shit. And you're like, that's cool for one or two, but like, why does everybody have to fall into this now? Like, it got tired. But yeah, I like King of Fighters. That is one of my favorites. Like, if I would definitely say that's definitely a fallback. If you can't play Tekken, you can't play Street Fighter, you got to go to King of Fighters. It's funny because there was a point in time where Mortal Kombat was one of my go-to games, but after 3 and
trilogy.
Yeah, the trilogy was the shit. And then it's fucked up because I went and I bought on the PSN their arcade trilogy, you know? And the game is so difficult and it doesn't have any of the fun shit like you know, I wasn't playing it seriously. I mean, there was a point where I played up to part 2 and the first version of 3 we would play in like tournaments, local tournaments. But then like I just stopped playing it seriously and I would just play for fun. And if you have the trilogy, you remember how you had a mode where an option where you can turn on one button combos? Mm-hmm. So that the combos, you put the damage up fairly high and then you have like one button combo. So if you keep pressing the button, they'll do the whole combo. You don't have to keep switching from the punch to kick and forward and punch and forward and kick. Because the combos were really weird and difficult to pull off. So like if you did this, it looked like a kung fu movie. You'd be going back and forth and it actually felt like something. It didn't feel so overly difficult to do something that's the basis of fighting in general, you know? Mm-hmm. That was fun. You can't do that in Mortal Kombat 3. You can't do that on the PSN arcade version. The games look good. They sound good. It's just they're fucking difficult, like insanely difficult. Like Kano will throw you with his back to you. Like you'll go to jump kick him and it will totally pause you and he'll just pick you up and throw you and he's not even looking at you. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's not even how the mechanics work. But
because he's that good.
Yeah. And don't even get me started about Shao Kahn, who will just fucking hammer you into oblivion. Like just whack, 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 like 50 times and you're dizzy and you're dead each time. Like you're dizzy every time he hits you. He just re-dizzies, hits you, re-dizzies. He hits you like 3 times and you're dead. It's like, come on, that's not fair. But
Shao Kahn doesn't get any easier either.
I know, right? Unless
that's
you
challenge.
But yeah, man, like Mortal Kombat, I got tired of Mortal Kombat after a while because it just was a cheap game. It was designed clearly to take your money, and it did a good job at doing that. But once you port it home, it's like, okay, so what is it doing now? You should have lowered the difficulty because you're not taking anything from us anymore. And plus, we played against our friends a little bit more in Mortal Kombat than we did in other games because it was like super awesome to remember your favorite fatality and actually pull it off.
But, I like Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
That's my shit.
The first one was amazing. I don't know what happened over time. I got tired of it.
I like 2. 2
Yeah.
is my shit. Kill it. That I love it. I love it. The as you said, hitting people on the ground is a bitch move. I love hitting people on the ground.
I had a feeling that's why you were like good with it.
Oh, I love that shit. And then of course they had the 3D element, which I think that they should add in all of the fighting games. So you can move in the background. I can dodge this move because I am walking in the background. Then I can go out of a move and start a combo. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the juggles go, it was like you fall down, but if you can connect something, you can connect something, but you don't hit them in the air like 30 times. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of was the physics kind of came into play.
Unless you were like Maxi.
Well, Maxi, even so, like you can, if you hold a side step, you would like fall in the background, which is unrealistic, but I mean, shit, that's how you can get away.
Plus, with that game, you had to be aware of your surroundings because you could easily fall right off the stage.
Yeah. Which ring outs was annoying, but I mean, it was a strategy with some bastards. I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, there's your sore spot.
I know, right?
Yeah. You always have like something you think they can do better. I just felt like, if it's I'm beating you with a damn weapon, why do I have to worry about falling out of a damn stage? I mean, shit.
Because some people's attacks
sword.
pushed you.
Because I've got a giant axe, but you better not step off this
Well,
ground.
Exactly.
I get the idea. I think
It's
some
a balance
games,
thing.
other games like Mace: The Dark Age had that, but you didn't die right off the bat. Like you would take damage if you got out of the perimeter of the ring.
Yeah.
But maybe if they had more stages that did that instead, and maybe certain stages maybe they caused more damage than others, or because some stages even in Mace: The Dark Age didn't even have a ring out. You just fought like outside. You'd work your way out the dojo. You'd be out in the field somewhere outside of the building fighting.
Yeah.
So if Soul Calibur did that shit instead of just every ring being like in the water, so you fall in the water, you're dead, or off the tree, you fall off the top of the building, you're dead. You know, that did more variety. It would have been more fun.
These guys are freaking trying to slice your throat, kill you, freaking swords, and you fall off the things like, you lost. I'm just gonna leave you on that bottomless pit over there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like.
I'm just gonna go. So, whatever the next fight is.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say this though, Soul Edge is an underrated gem of a game. The home release of Soul Edge, because Soul Edge, if every fighting game followed the example Soul Edge set, we'd never complain because we'd be given so much. I mean, number one, the game had 3 fucking soundtracks. 3 soundtracks. One that was completely different from all the other shit. You had your arcade, you had your arrange, and then you had your con super session. And it's still one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a fighting game. Then you had, the whole breakable weapon thing and your cool edge, what do they call those things? Critical edges. That was awesome. I wish they continued with that because that was actually cool. Instead, they just completely got rid of it. I guess players couldn't do it, so it was dumb. But you had
that's why you get rid of stuff. It's the only reason.
Apparently.
Exactly.
I loved how when you lose your weapon, you had different moves. That was awesome because it made the game feel like this is what would happen if you broke a swordsman's sword. You would have to now figure out how to fight without your sword. You know what I mean? It would have been awesome if you could take the other person's weapon now. That would have been dope, like a counter move that's real difficult to do and just take their weapon. But it was really cool that they had that in there. Then it was really cool that you had the Edge Master mode where you could earn other weapons so that you could like get weapons with different stats that were way more powerful. Not that piecemeal shit that they put in the Soul Calibur for the Dreamcast. Because the Dreamcast version of the Edge Master mode was kind of like, really? You were doing missions where you didn't get anything. And they were all be like, this one, you're poisoned. Last longer than the poison does. You know what I mean? There are 5 people endurance match. Keep fighting these 5 people. And it was like the same shit over and over and over. You got a piece of concept art. Like, fuck that. I want a sword. That's why I'm playing this mission. It was awesome to see that in the old Edge Master mode. Because, I mean, you could get pieces of a weapon. And then if you get all the pieces, then you get your ultimate weapon. That shit was amazing. I remember being so amped. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, so that's what kind of got on my nerves with the Mortal Kombat thing with their whatever the hell they called it, with that shit where you would earn
conquest,
the combat coins, in the game, and then you would spend it in like this random field of shit. And I'm like, sometimes you got a fatality. Sometimes you got concept art. I'm like,
it was the crit. That's something.
Yeah, you're right. The crit. That's not even fair. Like what?
I cheated my ass off on that. I went online, found out which graves had what, and so when I got the coins, the number of coins I needed, I just went and bought those things and left the rest of it alone.
Thank you, Games Radar, because they were the ones that had the friggin' map, and I just followed the map. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, go here, and it even went to like, okay, because sometimes like they weren't actually labeled like super clear, so sometimes it says, okay, if you go into this section and then you go to the right of the big tree with the hanging body in it, you'll find a fatality. Like literally some of the descriptions were like that because they had to be. I'm like, all right, good, because I could truly care less about getting another piece of Molina concept art.
Yeah, I know. It was annoying. I hate when they give you concept art like that. Like I played the Marvel superheroes, or what is it called, the Capcom versus Marvel Origins.
Yeah.
I played Marvel superheroes like 20 times in a row, and then I realized, oh wait up, there's shit I could buy. Let me see what they got. And I just bought everything because I had enough points because I'd beaten the game so many damn times. Like I miss when it was that simple. If that's how you're gonna give it to us, then give it to us like that. Don't make it something overly difficult to give us fucking concept art.
I don't know why they would give you concept art in the first place, but you can just go online and see it.
Exactly, that's the other thing. I could just go online and look at that shit. So it never seems to be worth the time, you know?
Now, if I beat the story mode with, okay, Mortal Kombat, bad example because they have one big story mode. But if, like, whatever, I beat the ladder mode or something with a particular character, then give me all their concept art when I beat that game. Like, that's fair enough. That's one of the things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, oh, you beat it with freaking Stryker. Here's all of his concept art.
Or
like,
you can go online and just look up all of his concept.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, period. Like, guys, you know the concept art was out before the game was, right?
Or they could have gave you like with Stryker in his case, he carries a lot of tactical gear. They could have gave you points to use to customize that, so so the gear would have different effects. Like instead of just the flashlight, maybe he's got a taser, or maybe you give him a.
I always thought that was hilarious. How he shines the flashlight in your eyes and then like hits you in the balls or some shit. Like, what the hell? I was like, who thought of this?
That is brilliant.
Mortal Kombat is just such a vindictive game. It's fucking hilarious. It's like these guys need therapy really bad. Because, man, they find some ways to kill you. And it's just like, really, somebody actually sat there and thought about what would be the most gruesome way we could do this. And they're okay, and they're being paid to do this. Like, something is really wrong. Like, wow.
Did you see have you seen the Quan Chi fatality that they've been advertising on?
No. I stopped.
It's bad.
Yeah. So like, I get it. It's pretty gruesome. Like, I mean, you can go watch it, but literally, like, he can control your body.
Oh, when he makes you walk into the blade,
walk into the sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's not done yet, though. That was just the beginning of it.
Exactly.
And it splits you in half. Yeah, he splits you in half. So you're already dead.
Yeah.
Right? With it going through your throat, but he lifts you up and you split in half and he splits your body back down, and like you're just like in two halves. Like, why didn't you just do that in the first place? You gotta make it kind of sword. It's crazy, man. It's like, wow, you guys really gonna open? That's like overkill.
Oh, I thought overkill was Scorpion's fatality, where he chops off half your face, your body falls on the ground, and then you see your brain, what's left in your skull, kind of like ooze out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, but yeah, that's just like the effects of getting your face sliced up, you know?
Yeah, no, but they didn't used to show all that. You know, you got the idea. Like even with 9, some of the fatalities were really brutal.
Like
but
Smoke.
There was still a
no, not Smoke.
Over the top spectacleness to it. Now it's just straight gross. Like,
yeah.
They have technology to do it, so now they're doing it.
Yeah. It's like for me, like once you this is me personally. Once you take the head, nothing else matters. which is like the one thing that kind of sucked when they took. I mean, they kind of the second fatality is kind of like his first one. I remember Kung Lao's fatality from 2 when he took his hat and he just like cut you in half.
Yeah,
but like his other one besides the ground when he throws the hat into the ground, he'll take his hat and cut your head off and then slice you in half. Like, you already cut the head off. Who cares what you do to the body?
Exactly.
I mean,
that's where the overkill thing came from. But then he did the whole table saw thing on the ground, and he grabs your legs and just drags you across it.
That's
like
awesome.
now you're being. But I'm saying now you're just being like just. Like you do that to somebody, either you really like you do that to like your worst enemy, not just to like some opponent you just fought. You know, that's like the ending to a movie,
I mean,
like where the bad guy was so bad that when he finally got his comeuppance, you do something like that, and you're like, yes, because you hated that motherfucker and you wanted them. You as if you were hated them and you wanted them to die. Like but this is just the game. Like this is just another opponent in the tournament. Like you might not even have that much interaction, like on a personal level with them. That was just somebody you had to get past to get to the end.
See, that's just, that's Mortal Kombat for you. I don't object for that's their niche.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm not going to object to what they decide to overdo or redo. I mean, that's just the niche.
They're still sticking to what they do.
Yeah, and they're getting better. If anything, I mean, they got away from it when they went 3D, in my opinion, as far as the authenticity of the fighting, because they really they're matching people's characters and fight styles when they're mocapping, grabbing people. But then they went away from the whole mocapping thing and decided to do their own animation. It's like, really, you start off doing it and then you just totally went away from it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it was silly. And then now they got the new graphics, or I want to say the better graphics. They're still not understanding they need to emulate real martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely insane.
But I'll criticize their fatalities because I mean they're out there. The thing is, I'll still say like Agent O is saying, some of it's redundant after a while. It's like, okay, you split my head off my body. Now you're gonna cut my head into like 4 pieces. Like, you already chopped my head off. Like, it's done. I'm not coming back. And you keep cutting my head in pieces, like, for no reason. Like, it almost...
Just thorough.
It feels...
Exactly.
Nah,
you know what? I think the way they should, of course, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what their whole thing is with their weapons, is just finding the way to use that character's techniques into the fatality. Sometimes they don't do it.
Most of the time they don't do it.
But hell, some of the not the focus attacks, the X-ray attacks, some of that shit was fatality worthy.
Yeah. I guess people liked it. They decided to bring it back, but sometimes they be cracking people's necks and like, okay, they're dead.
Yeah. Or stabbing knives through their like whole eyes and out the back of the skull and shit.
That move should only be done when they're about to die.
Yeah.
Because that move should be done to kill them.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, because I remember that too. Like, oh, he stabs you in the knee and then he stabs you in the neck. I'm like, how? And I just get up from this.
Yeah, fight's over after that. You're done. You hit the knee like that, you're done. You can't
broke the dude's ankle and his bone snaps, and then he's still fighting the same way. You see that one? What was that one move? It was, I think it was right after the 3 or trilogy, where what's the guy? Chinook.
Mm-hmm.
He grabbed your leg and bent it backwards.
They used to do it with your arms and your legs.
And then you snap your leg back and then start fighting again.
It's like, yeah, because, you just recover from that. Just a couple deep breaths and you're fine. It's like you're getting shot. It's like getting shot in the first person shooter. It's time to take a couple deep breaths.
Exactly. I mean, I don't mind.